for the players, knowing that there's been a change to a kick-off time. Anyway, it is a slight delay, as you can see, and perhaps we can run through the two teams for you. Have a look at Sheffield Eagles first of all, who are giving debuts to 3 players. One of them left winger Travis Corrigan, and then on the bench, brothers Harry Tyler Wilson and Bobby Tyler Wilson.
Yeah, some young fellas coming in, getting a run out. That's the good thing about Sheffield, is that they're prepared to give people an opportunity.
Yeah, otherwise familiar names there. And big days for a couple of players today with milestones. We all seem to get a milestone for somebody. Rob Warrens, who was the last, he got his 200th try the last time we were here. And today, Captain Matt James plays his 100th game for Sheffield Eagles.
Yeah, that's a bit of an achievement, isn't it? 100 games. You know, you've always got to credit people when they stay, particularly in today's game, because in today's game it's there's a lot of players moving around clubs quite frequently, and stopping at a club and being able to sort of achieve 100 games is quite a big thing for players.
Well, funnily enough, on the Featherstone Rovers side, centre Thomas Minns makes his 100th appearance. And this is not the way they line up, by the way. The fullback is Dane Chisholm. The three-quarter line consists of Gareth Gale, Craig Hall, Tom Minns and Jacob Doyle, a newcomer making his debut. Halfbacks are Tom Holmes and Farmanu Brown. And the pack is led up front by Craig Kopchak, with James Lockwood, the other prop. Connor Jones has come in at hooker. And then you've got Frankie Holton, Connor Jones and Jack Bussey. And the substitutes are the Australian Dean Parata, John Davis, Callum Field and Louis McConnell. But Chisholm, yeah, another maverick, as we call them in the game.
Yeah, he's had a few clubs. I think he's played some really good stuff on the field, and I think sometimes he's not probably seen eye to eye with some of the coaches, and maybe that's why he's moved around clubs quite a little bit. But that doesn't mean to say that when on his day he can really turn it on and be a real quality player.
OK, well, let's hear from the two coaches now. First, we'll hear from Mark Aston, the Sheffield Eagles coach, and after that, there'll be a little chat with James Webster, who's in the same role with Featherstone.
Mark, an important day in two instances, really. One, you want to get back to winning ways, and two, you're playing in front of a crowd.
I know, brilliant, isn't it? The fans are going to be back, and let's hope to put a show on. You know, that's a big thing for us. And you know, Featherstone a good team, a real top quality team. You know, one of the teams that are tipped to probably win this competition. So we've got an hard task today, but you know what? The boys are up for it. We've had a good chat, and they're in the changing rooms. They're in good form. There's 2 or 3 guys making the debuts, which is massive for them. So yeah, you know, the one thing that we've done all year is put us performances. You know, we've been there, and you know, we felt we let ourselves down in the last 20 minutes against Batley, letting in 4 tries, which is not something we've done all this year. So defensively, we've got to be back on game today.
And among the debutants, a couple of brothers.
Yeah, some more brothers. Jeez, we've got some brothers in here, haven't we? We've got the Burnses. Now the Wilsons, and yeah, I'm pleased for them because they've both been out of the game, or been out of the professional game for a while, you know. But both have got the pedigree. You know, the dad's a rugged sort of tough character, and so is Bobby. You know, and at 19-year-old, he made his Super League debut. Harry was tipped for big things and just lost the way. So we're delighted to bring them back into the professional game and give them an opportunity. And they've both trained really hard, worked hard on the game, and let's see where they are now.
You must be proud of the fact you've brought. I think you've used 23 players this season, and a lot of them have been youngsters making their debuts.
Yeah, and obviously there's Travis Corrigan as well on the wing, a young kid that's probably playing his first game against Misters today, and what a game it'll be for him. So yeah, I mean, that's the big thing for us as a club. You know, we pride ourselves on giving people opportunities, the big O as we call it, and there's more of them, and there's going to be more. You know, Jordan Bull's backing up after his try scoring debut last week. You know, so yeah, we're here to give kids an opportunity. We've done that with people like Isaac and Farrell, who's starting to repay us with the performances now. So, yeah, I'm a believer in them. I'm a believer in the kids and the youth. And, you know, if they've got the right attitude and the commitment, then they'll certainly get plenty of game time with us.
Cheers, Mark. Good luck.
Thank you.
James, a decisive win over Oldham in midweek. How good was that and important with the fans there?
Yeah, it was a great occasion. It's been a long time. It's been over 12 months now since our loyal supporters are able to come watch us play, and I think the players showed how much they enjoy playing in front of people. It was a good experience for everyone, and I thought we played fairly well.
You bring a 100% record here to the Keepmoat Stadium. I noticed a quote from you the other day saying some things have been good so far in the season, some things not so good. What would you pick out as the best and the worst of the performances?
I think we've defended well in the last month. I think we've been really scratchy in our games. We've played well in patches, and we kind of completions with the ball's been poor, but we've always found a way to win. Quite well at times, and other times we've been a bit scrappy doing it. So we understand we're a pretty talented side, but in saying that, nothing gets given to you for free in the championship, and today's going to be another one of those. Sheffield, good, strong, quality side.
You've been talked about as potential Super League. How keen are you to prove that you are a club capable of being right at the top?
Yeah, I don't think we need to prove it to anyone else. You've got to win games. That's the name of it. To get promoted, you have to win enough games. So everyone sees us as someone they want to lift their game and try and beat. We've put together a pretty good squad. It's depleted at the moment. We've got a good 10, 11 people unavailable today, but that's why we tried to put a big squad together, because we knew that in this league you run out of players pretty quick, and that's happened. But I'm looking forward to some of these young kids playing today.
How tough do you think Sheffield will be?
Really good. Look, they've put Bradford to the sword. They've had a draw with London, and they've beaten York. That's pretty good credentials in my book. I miss Anthony Thackeray. He's I played with Anthony a long time ago, and he's a very influential player for Sheffield. So, but they're a good side, well coached. Always hard to beat Sheffield.
Cheers, James. Thank you.
No problem.
An Australian who's made a big impact in this country, and I think you coached against him, Paul.
Yeah, that's right. James Webster, he was a really smart, calculating player who can finish sets, and he could really put a good kicking game in. And he used to general teams around the field very, very well. And I think that's why he's made a good coach.
Talking of organisers, how much are Sheffield Eagles going to miss Thackeray today?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a real big loss to him. I think a lot of it's going to be quite interesting to see Isaac Farrell, see if he can sort of take a bit of a lead role now, because I think he's played much better this year, but he's been playing a sort of a second role as a pivotal player. It's very much been Anthony Thackeray who's been running the show, and then he's been sort of slotting in as and when it sort of fits, and it's worked for him. But now he's got to sort of take a bit more of a lead role, hopefully. I mean, Brown played as a pivot before for the Eagles, and he's done a really good job. But he's more of a little engineering, sort of creative player that makes things happen around him in the close proximity. And I'm not so sure the actual organising the full sets and finishing the sets, that's going to be interesting to see.
Now here's one for you. Travis Corrion is a new name for both of us, I think. He's making his debut today for Sheffield Eagles. Can you remember your debut and how you felt before you were coming out onto the pitch?
It is a long time ago. I've slept since then quite a few times. But yeah, it was a good day down at Fulham, actually. Played down at Fulham. The one thing that sticks in your mind, isn't it funny how you play these games and you remember everything that sort of went on around the game? Like I can remember the dressing room before, and I can remember playing in the game and the planes going over every 5 minutes. There were planes coming over, and they literally nearly feel like they're landing on top of the stand, because that was the main flight line from coming into the airport.
Well, here they come. It's Featherstone Rovers out first in their blue shirts with black numbers and black shorts. And they will be followed very shortly by the home side Sheffield Eagles, and the fans are making a bit of a noise here, which is very, very good to hear for the first time this season.
It was a little bit unusual. It's like a bit strange. We can hear all the drums going and everything going on. So, but Featherstone look like they've fetched quite a few down as well. They'll be happy to get a day out.
Well, Sheffield won't like me for mentioning this, but they've lost their last 7 matches against Featherstone Rovers and conceded 272 points in the process. Here are the other games for you. Toulouse, who are looking like running away with it, they're in fantastic form, and they thrashed Swinton Lions, scoring another 60-odd points. London Broncos against Bradford. I think that score's the other way round. I heard that London were leading by 33 points to 8, actually. Newcastle against Halifax Panthers. Halifax have nilled a couple of sides this season. Widnes, good to see them back on form, because they've had a really shaky
they had a
spell.
real wobbly start, didn't they? And then they seem to have got themselves back together again now. Whitehaven competed quite well last time out against Featherstone for a period, and then but that's a bit of a whitewash there with Widnes, isn't it?
Yeah, and York City Knights with a convincing victory over the struggling Oldham. We wait to see what score we put against the last Sunday.
And before this ambulance match, we will hold a minute's silence to remember all those associated with the...
There is, I believe, going to be a short silence before the start of the game. Kick-off to come very shortly here. And it will be a 4:50 kick-off.
The minute's silence will begin at the start of the referee's whistle. This will be followed by a 13 period to show solidarity, inviting all forms of discrimination in collaboration with the RFL's tackling plan.
The 1 minute silence, impeccably observed as usual in this great sport of rugby league. And I've already mentioned about great to have the fans back here. Sheffield Eagles kicking off in 7th place, but no one's in the last 3 after that victory over York. They also absolutely walloped Bradford here, which was their biggest win of the season. And Featherstone Rovers 4 points behind Toulouse Olympic, who I say are running in points at will.
Yeah, they're a big, strong outfit them, and but Featherstone have they've got the full strength squad at selection. I think they've got a lot of experience, and they've got some really what you call some challenging players that can ask some big questions of the opposition.
I mentioned the fact that Anthony Thackeray is out today, and as is the winger Miller. Both of them suffering from the outbreak of corona last weekend, which did affect and caused the match against Halifax to be postponed.
Yes, that's right. They had a couple of players that proved positive, and they had a couple of other players that they were sort of concerned about. So I think it had to be called off, and they called it pretty early.
Featherstone are quick starters last week when they beat Oldham in the midweek game. In fact, the fullback Chisholm took a catch and scored. He ran the length of the field, and there he is involved now.
It'll be interesting for Featherstone today. They've got quite a lot of their experienced players that are not lining up. So sometimes it's quite interesting, because where they haven't got the experienced players out on the field. Sometimes some of these younger players that are waiting for an opportunity, that brings another level of enthusiasm, and they really sort of come out there with to really put the hat in the ring, as opposed to just sort of sitting on the sideline.
It was Brad Day with a knock on there, the man with the headband. So it gives Eagles opportunity to run here into the opposition territory. And there is a first running opportunity as well for Scott Wheeldon, the 35-year-old. Former Featherstone player, in fact, has indeed 2 or 3. This man is as well. He had 3 seasons, did Matt James at Post Office Road. Can't help calling it that. It's got another name now, but Sheffield have got early tries in matches so far this season, notably against Bradford. They started slowly against London and still got the first score of the match.
Yeah, they had to weather all the pressure, if you remember, in the early part of that game, and then they went nearly the full length of the field and scored in one set of 6.
Wheeldon now looking for what would have been his first try of the season, and they're very, very close. Just held up and lost the ball, crucially, just behind their own, just behind the opposition try line, and Featherstone only too happy to pick it up. It's a few years since Featherstone Rovers played in this stadium. They played at the Olympic Legacy Park a couple of times. They won there on their last visit. They've won both their away games this season so far at Swinton and at York. But this is a different test. Every game provides something untoward and something different.
Yeah, I think that you look at, well, looking at the first couple of few minutes of the exchanges, you'd say that Sheffield look like they're sort of pretty up for it. They didn't have a game last week, so maybe they've got a little bit of a, here we go. Featherstone have opened them up there, just a little bit of an inside step.
Yeah, they've made a good 30 yards there. All down eventually. But the opportunity knocks for Featherstone Rovers to register that first score, and the man who's coming into the action is Day again. Lively start from him. Helping to support him is the new boy, Jacob Doyle there. Number 28 is a strong-looking lad, the wingman. He's arrived from Castleford Tigers. He was their young player of the year a couple of years back, but chance gone.
So yeah, they've turned the ball over at the right end of the field. I would imagine that they'd have been a bit happier if they'd have probably got a kick and been able to challenge Sheffield and see if they can secure it, and then it starts to wear away at their set before they've even got going.
These are the early stages where you look to your prop forwards in particular to put in the hard yards.
Yeah, well, we always used to say you don't win a game in the first 5 minutes, but you certainly put a marker down and you start to set the standard. This is what it's going to be like, and this is what we're going to have to do.
Aaron Brown playing at half-back today because of the absence, as we've mentioned, of Thackeray, but he's played there before. He's a very reliable player. Now it will be a Farrell kick, an Isaac Farrell kick. His brother still absent through injury as well. A lot of players missing today, actually. These are by no means the first selections that the coaches would have preferred. But it happens in a collision sport, as this one certainly is.
They got to the end there, did Sheffield. You'd have liked them to have probably, if the kick, he cleans it up on the front foot and he comes back and they're pretty much on play 2 and they're breaking their half, which you would hope that you need to try and find a bit of ground for your half-backs. That's the key for them, is find the ground, put it in behind the back 3.
Holmes, a very lively half-back for Featherstone Rovers as well, having a very good season. With the former Challenge Cup winners, of course. And you do feel that Featherstone are capable of being right up there at the very top of the game again.
Yeah, they're giving the ball plenty of air in this early stages, aren't they? They're moving it around and asking questions, and they certainly look like they're interested in the edges. They're wanting to get to the edges and start asking questions.
Yeah, you look someone like Craig Kopchak to be figuring prominently in the attack shortly. Chisholm involved here, longer ball out to the wing. It might be a debut try here. It certainly is. What a moment for the youngster Jacob Doyle. He's 19 years of age. He was the Rookie of the Year at Castleford in 2019. He's just made his mark on debut in the first 10 minutes here. In fact, the first 6 minutes, and Featherstone Rovers ahead.
Yeah, did a really good job there. I don't think that was it weren't a given. It was a quality ball, a cut-out ball that got him a little bit of space, but he comes in a little bit, he stands the winger up and then goes back on the outside, and he just sort of fixes him a little bit and then goes away.
What a wonderful moment for a young player, though, to register that early on your first appearance in senior rugby.
It's a little bit strange, isn't it? Because when you think about, you saw last week that there was the young players, when they're making the debut, it's so interesting now. Frequently they end up on the score sheet, and it's because when you play your first game, I think you're wanting it and you're chasing it, and you don't see anything as a non-event. You've got to get out there and you chase and try to score and make everything happen.
Well, Chisholm kicked 10 out of 12 the other day, but this is another day.
And the good thing, this stadium's brilliant for when it's wind. There's a bit of wind and it's blowing into our face, but we're right up at the back of the stand. When you get lower down, the way that all the corners are closed in, I think that stops the wind. It makes it a little bit easier for the kickers, but it is out on the touchline. This one, it'll be a tough one.
And he's hooked it. It's going to end up in the seats, behind the sticks, and not going through the sticks. So it's a 4-point advantage. Here it is again. That was he still had work to do, didn't he? But he eluded Warrency. And
he just that little bit of a check. He just almost sort of just stepped and just held him, made him sort of check himself, and then he got him on outside.
Early boost for the visitors, though. It's always good when you're the visiting team to get points on the board early.
And if I'm honest, Featherstone looked like they were just sort of working their way into the game in the early part. The first couple of sets, coming out of their own end, they looked a little bit sort of lacklustre, and then they've sort of really stepped it up now. And now they've got a spring in the step. Now it seems like they've really got the mojo.
Yes, they've got their mojo working, and managed to slip that one away in the tackle as well when he was down on the ground. And it's promising again for Rovers. They're running riot at the moment, and it's an opportunity to get more points on the board from only about 20 yards out now. There's a spring in the step for Featherstone Rovers at this moment. It was Brown who made those early inroads, and it's a second try in these early minutes, and Featherstone Rovers are looking like romping away with this one. The ball was floated over to the flank, all in the right place at the right time, and what a start this is for the James Webster's side.
Yeah, it's a really good start for Featherstone. Not the start that Sheffield would have been hoping for, but at the moment they're opening. Featherstone are opening them up too easily. They're getting them a little bit. If they're straightening up and getting back on the inside shoulders, they're coming through. They're cutting through them like through butter.
Well, it's a simple score for Gareth Gale, isn't it? He's a man in form anyway. Half a dozen tries this season, and they're threatening.
Well, they opened them up a couple of minutes earlier than that on an inside play, and I think what happens once you get somebody cutting through on an inside play, almost all the scramble defence then, and it breaks up your line defence, so your edges then become very, very difficult to manage, and that's when they got them there. They come in to try and shut it down, and he just put a cut-out ball over the top, which is very much what happened on this side as well. It was a cut-out ball that got them to the space on the try at this side of the field. So they scored a try right out on the touchlines either side of the field, but you would suggest that there's they've opened them up a couple of times through the middle as well.
Well, it's the two wingers going in for the two tries, and Gareth Gale supported Featherstone Rovers as a boy, has made his mark. Can Chisholm make his with the attempted conversion? No, it's 8-0, 2 out of 2 misses. Yes, Gareth Gale, they signed him a couple of years ago, and then due to other commitments, he had to pack it in, having only just joined Rovers. So this is his second spell with the club, but he's certainly making his mark now.
Yeah, for sure. That's what it's difficult for some of the players when it's in Championship and they're playing part-time rugby. Sometimes if they're studying, and the young lads and they're studying and they're wanting to sort of progress in their careers as far outside rugby, then they've got to sort of give it a little bit of time, and then they can come back to it once they've got the qualifications.
Well, it's a dream start for James Webster, but a shocker for Mark Aston. It means that Sheffield have to come from behind again. 21 years here as the head coach, Mark Aston. That's an extraordinary record.
Yeah,
extraordinary service.
There's not many coaches been around coaching for that long, is there?
None, I don't think. Well, certainly not at the moment, anyway. And Sheffield just can't get into the game at the moment, can they?
No, they're looking. Featherstone at the moment are looking really on the front foot. They're on the toes and they're up there. Sheffield, they'll get a little bit of something with Sheffield, and they'll get a bit of momentum. Here we go.
That was fair enough. The ball was knocked out of the arm legally. That was the right way to do it. It's one of the rules now. You can nick the ball this season.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a break of momentum now, because Featherstone have had it all their own way up to now. It'll be interesting to see now whether Sheffield can start to get a little bit of momentum themselves.
Jimmy Davey here, acting half-back in his first start of the season. He's been on the substitutes bench the previous matches. This is Guzdick. But Davies a very reliable pro, so Mark Aston knows what he'll get
He's
from
been around for a long time as Jimmy, but he relies heavily. He needs the forwards to get him some quick play. If they get him some quick play and they buy him a bit of space, he'll be jumping out from the base of the ruck and causing the defences a nightmare.
No Frankie Mariano this afternoon. He's another one who's out. Greg Burns, he's missing as well. That was Davy. Held up very close to the line.
Offside, I think he's given offside from Featherstone not getting back to the line.
Yeah, it was Oliver Davies who was plunging. He hasn't got a try yet, Davies. He's always looked capable and will be involved again maybe now. As you can see, very close to that try line and held up surely. Davies in the thick of things right now.
I like what he's doing there, playing some short balls, making sure that he keeps the defenders in the tight defenders nice and honest. And what they'll do then when they go to the edges, there'll be bigger spaces for the halfbacks to find.
Wearing the 11 today is Brad Knowles, one who gave the penalty away, which cost them a point against London in the last minute. Oh, that's sloppy. That was loose. And as a result, he drops on the ball and it's back in the hands of those in the blue.
And if you're really honest, you'd say that the Mount Featherstone, they're doing a good job, but they're not setting the world afire. All they're doing is they're just going through the processes. They're playing some good stuff, as a group, and they're linking up well together.
Well, that's teamwork, isn't it?
Everything's playing over the advantage line. They're playing very quickly, and they've got a good energy about them.
13 minutes gone in the Keep Moat Stadium. It is Sheffield Eagles 0, Featherstone Rovers 8. Oh, and another gap appearing here, and well, the ball will continue. That's well, it is a knock-on.
Yeah, well, that was a fortunate call for Sheffield, I'd say there, because it didn't look like he looked like he reached up for it, but I'm not so sure he played it. Maybe we're wrong.
I think Chisholm thought he was going to grab hold of it and be okay, but the whistle had already gone by then. Referee today, by the way, is Aaron Moore from Wigan. Kind of hush descends over the stadium just for a moment. Not for long. Wealdon certainly had an appetite for work so far today.
Yeah, there's plenty of carries already, aren't there?
Isaac Farrell going to ground. And James, and that's another one that's gone behind the intended recipient of the pass.
They're just looking a little bit disjointed just at the moment, aren't they? When they're looking to try and get onto the shift and get onto an edge, they're not quite connecting up properly.
Davey went a long way there without getting anywhere particularly.
It's always difficult when you've got a player as influential in a team as Anthony Thackeray is. When he's not around, then someone else has got to pick up that mantle.
Good kick from Farrell though, and that put some pressure on. Oh, good skipping run there, brilliant run, brilliant relieving play. That was excellent play to relieve the line after that kick through from Isaac Farrell, and it ultimately results in a penalty kick as well.
Yeah, someone's not happy about something, are they? But it was a real good kick, a good kick return. You know, stepping and weaving and just beating people. Mark won't be too happy about that. I don't think. Somebody should have got the body in and been able to stop that before it got as disjointed as it did.
Chisholm talking a good game as well as kicking a good game. He had a short spell here after he left Bradford Bulls. But now in the colours of Featherstone Rovers. He's not played every game so far this season, but he came in and was influential against Oldham in that whopping victory in midweek.
There's no questions that he can play when he's got his head on and he's got his game right. He's as challenging as anybody out there.
This is Craig Kopchak, very, very experienced prop forward, more than a decade in the game. He'll punish your bodies over a decade. Day, plunging run from Brad Day. There's just a bit more menace about Featherstone Rovers when they get in the opposition half.
Yeah, they've got. I think what it is at the moment, they've got a few more bodies in motion, and they just look a little bit more slick, if you want to call it that.
Oh, look at that! Well, there's a good example of it as well. A backward flick into the arms of Gale from Hall, and Keeps going as well, Gale, here. He's a strong boy, isn't he? And he's got it through. Oh, that's too easy. Much too easy. That was such a simple try. And it's a third try of the afternoon. It's Jack Bussey who's the final recipient of the ball. But how easy was that? And Mark Ashton will be bitterly disappointed with the ease.
Yeah, I think that the Featherstone, they're playing with a confidence. They're taking what you call a few risks, where they're flicking the ball and they're trying this and trying that, and at the moment everything's sticking, and that's why it's really coming off for them. You look at, but they've got a lot of players that are pursuing the ball, which is always helps. You get someone on a bit of a line break. If you've got 2 or 3 of your shirts in the frame and only one of the opposition's, then there's a good chance if they do flick it out and take a little bit of a risk, there's more chance of it going to hand.
Well, this should be routine for Chisholm. It'll be his first success of the afternoon. Where is if for the moment? We have seen them miss from here, but hopefully not on this occasion. Yep, over she goes, and a predictable chant from one end of the field. Are you Cass in disguise? Well, the Featherstone supporters love that one, don't they?
Any chance to be able to sort of have a little bit of a dig at Cass?
That's what we've been missing, though.
Yeah, that's right. That's what these have been missing by the look of it. They're having a ball up there.
Yeah, it was such a simple pass that Craig Hall put in there for Bussey to take advantage of. It's his 4th try. He got a couple against Oldham on Monday, so it's 3 in a week for him. Been a very good week for Jack Bussey.
Used to be 3 in a season for me.
What a good season that was, though, Paul.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Featherstone Rovers are looking ominously slick from a Sheffield point of view. Early stranglehold.
There's a little bit too much space for them to play. Featherstone at the moment, and they're carrying the ball strong. They're getting across the advantage line, and they are playing the ball quickly off the floor. But on the back of that, there's too much space then when they're going to the line, and that's why they're finding holes in Sheffield by the way that they can pick the spot where they're heading to, because they can see they're not getting shut down.
Brown's a key player as well. He figured there with a short ball that he'll be involved in the action again soon. He's at the shoulder already, looking for a pass, but he's gone the other way with a very, very high kick, which is going to end up in the stands.
Managed to get affected by the wind. That he went above the stand and everything. That was come down with snow.
I thought it was actually going to hop over the crossbar.
Come on with snow on it, as they used to say.
No, that was at Queensbury. Always, everything comes down with snow.
Even in the middle of summer.
Like cricket in the snow there. Warrensey, first time I've seen him with ball in hand so far today. He'll never forget the last match here, will he?
No, carried more than forwards then.
Oh, chance of a break with Guzdick. That's the most promising
the first
little run we've seen from the fullback so far. This is better from Eagles.
Yeah. Again from the base of the ruck, Jimmy Davey jumping out there off the back of a quick play the ball from Josh.
Yeah, and it was Warrensey who got them going there. You've got to look lively, haven't you? You've got to keep your chins up at a stage like this. You may be 14 points down, but that's not a lot in rugby league terms.
No, in today's game, that's nothing. It can turn around and on the flip of a coin. You've only got to look at the way Sheffield were when they were competing against Batley the other week, and the game just got away from them in literally 5 minutes, and they were 12, 14 points up.
Guzdick again took it from Brown. There is Brown. Here is Warrensey. He's got the strength to try and get as far as the white line, but not quite making it. But Brown will again launch a reasonable looking pass out, but Knowles doesn't really get any further, and it's the last tackle here, so this is crucial. Sheffield need the next score of the game. But the referee's arms are raised just for the moment. So touch judge is coming on for a little chat with him as he spotted an indiscretion here.
Yeah, I think that they were giving him a little bit too much attention on floor. They wouldn't let him get up and play it. There we go. But you'd say from Sheffield there, they needed to have a little bit more shape about them when they passed that ball out of the base of the. You got Brad Knowles who was carrying. He's coming brave enough, but he was coming on his own.
Yeah, shake of the head from Bussey as though he'd done nothing wrong, but it does give Sheffield this opportunity there. Very close here with James, yet to register this season, but close enough now. hope here. Sheffield really do need the next score from this match. Maybe from this play. Yes, surely. It is a try, and it is Knowles who spins and turns in the tackle. And Brad Knowles has got Sheffield on the score sheet.
Yeah, nice quality flat ball there from Jimmy Davey that just picks him up in a bit of space. That's the key thing, is if you can get the ball away from the ruck and you can get a little bit away and find a bit bigger spaces between the defenders, especially that close to the line. It's a real tough job then for them to be able to shut you down.
Well, which is again for you. He doesn't have a lot to do, in fairness, does he, Brad Knowles? He's so close to that line.
Yeah, he did a good job. He got him to he got a defender, fixed the defender up, and then to be able to just sort of bump off and go on his inside shoulder.
Should be routine at this end of the field now for Isaac Farrell. Probably the same words I used a moment ago. Distinctive style, and 2 points and 6 in total. So back into the contest, Mark Aston's side, and they badly needed that score as well, because it had been pretty much one-way traffic until then. Never going to stop him from that sort of distance.
Well, that's the first time that Sheffield have really had that sort of pressure on the line. So you know that if they can start to get a little bit more territorial advantage, then I think that they will ask questions.
That's going to go dead. That's not what was required.
No.
And all of a sudden it's going downhill for Featherstone.
We talk about momentum changes, don't you? And that's exactly what's happened there. Just from this little piece of play down here, and all of a sudden, Josh, you said that was a first little bit of inspirational sort of play that Sheffield had shown. He gets a quick play of the ball. Jimmy Davey jumps out, and within 3 plays they're scoring. And now Featherstone are the ones that are looking like they've lost the cohesion a little bit.
It was that bit of vigour from Rob Warrington, which is why Mark Aston signed him 3 times. He likes that. He knows what he's going to get from his wingman. And that's exactly what was required. And Sheffield have suddenly upped their game.
It's amazing what a try does, isn't it, for putting a spring in your step. And all of a sudden they've got more people moving, more bodies around the ball, which is straight away helping them.
Paddy Burns with a thrust there. It's good to see him back after calf injury. But, referee's whistle's gone. Forward pass.
Yeah, you see, that's a killer. They'd done all the work there. They'd created the space. They'd got Josh into some space. I think if that play goes through, if he lets them play, they've a chance of opening up and scoring there. But these are the things in games that, the finer. It's the little things that make the big changes, I guess.
Well, again, they've still got spirit, Featherstone Rovers. They're one of those clubs that the one thing that you can never ever question about Featherstone Rovers is the spirit that they show in their team. Quite why that is, I don't know, but they never let you down in that regard.
It's got that sort of feel about it as a club, hasn't it? I think you look at them and there's a real tight bond. Everybody that goes into the place can see that it's a community thing. That there's everybody that they live and breathe the club.
Ooh, awkward bound for Warrington. It's going to be a score, is it? Oh, and the bounce then does affect it the other way.
Yeah, played it with his hand. It's a drop out. But yeah, you talk about Featherstone and you talk about the years and the way that they've been for so many years. It's one of those where everybody in the club, that if you're going to play for this club, you've got to play for it with passion. They don't really tolerate anybody turning up and not giving 100% of what they've got.
6 points for the home team, 14 for the away team. That was very, very close to being another Featherstone score because of this curious shaped ball.
Yeah, it's a funny old thing, isn't it? Who decided to play with one like that?
Goodness knows. Mr. Webb, I think his name was.
Yeah.
But Rob Warrington there must have wondered where on earth that ball was going to end up. Anyway, it worked in their favour ultimately, but it is another Featherstone attack here. which does look promising with Brown. He's an interesting character, is Brown. He played in NRL in Australia. And surely there are gaps appearing again over on that far side, and Featherstone Rovers are so close to registering a third try of the afternoon already.
Some online defence there did Sheffield, which really got him out of jail. There we go.
They look so vulnerable, don't they? And they are vulnerable. And it's another Featherstone Rovers score, and the try is registered right under the sticks by James Lockwood, the skipper.
Yeah. And they're pushing up in numbers and strong carries, and again they've gone through, pretty much on the edges, which you don't really want. They need to be staying a bit tougher around that middle. But they mustered up well on the edge, right on the outside touchline, a bit of online defence, and then when they come back to the middle, they found some gaps in. Well, they didn't do anything special there. They just played at the spaces, tried to push through, but they had some outside support, which was always holds a defender off, and it makes it one-on-one.
There'll be nobody happier than Lockwood, because he's the only regular starter who hadn't got a try this season, so he won't have to do the run naked at the end of the year, which is...
it's always a bonus, isn't it? Unless you're one of the girls that works in the offices, maybe they'd be interested.
Simple kick for Chisholm. Well, I won't say that they're running away with it, but it's been a very, very rich start from Featherstone Rovers to get 20 points up on 27 minutes. I did say I thought there'd be a lot of points here today, and this is proof of it. Watch it, Lockwood there. There's been some really strong running from everybody in the Featherstone Rovers team for a start, and that was easy peasy, as they say.
Yeah, well, they've now got themselves in a position where they can actually start to loosen things off a little bit, and they can play with a little bit more. The shackles are off a bit now because they've got a bit of a breathing space.
Well, it's all action, isn't it? Right from one end of the field to the other in a space of about 5 seconds.
Absolutely.
James has come off for a breather for Eagles, as props tend to do after 20-odd minutes. But it's a game you can't take your eyes off, that is for sure.
Well, if they're going to keep themselves in touching distance, they need to get a little bit of something here to Sheffield. They need to make a bit of even if it's just a phase of play where they're using up some of the energy that Featherstone is showing.
Flat kick, but it bounces up into the arms of Guzdek. Oh, it's Guzdek again. I think Tyler Dickinson's come on in place of James. He's had some good games and some good spells this season.
Yeah.
Sheffield on the brink of a second score themselves, Guzdek and Knowles. Knowles prominent in the recent minutes. He got their first try. And this might just lead to their second. It's an attacker's game today, no question about that. Questions being asked of the Featherstone Rovers defence right now. In between the sticks.
Another debutant, Tyson Wilson, sorry.
Yeah, big strong boy, isn't he? And he's forced his way through here to bring Sheffield right back into it again. This could end up at absolutely anything, this score today. Let's have a look here. Well, they always looked as though it was going to be menacing, but as though the menace would pay off. And
same principle again, flat ball at the line, a bit more width away from the ruck, and to find bigger spaces.
Well, I've just said this score could be anything. Farrell will surely kick this one to make it 12-20, and we've still got, what, 10 minutes of the first half left.
I'd say it's an open game.
Sure is. No problem. Goal number 19 of Farrell's season so far. And 12-20. Game on is the phrase. Here it is just once again for you. You can see the post there in your shot, and as the ball comes back, it is whipped out by Davey. And Tyler Wilson, as you said, Paul, in for that debut try. Another glorious moment for him.
So for Sheffield now, they've got themselves back in. They've got in touching distance again. They need to make sure that they don't unravel on this set here. They need to get it completed, get it down the field, and start putting the pressure back on Featherstone.
Been a lot of enterprise shown down there by both sides. So I think the fans just love to see tries scored, don't they? I mean, okay, you don't want a silly scoreline, but as long as they can keep it close here, it could be. We've seen some thrilling finishes here. The 2020 against London.
Yeah, there's been some good scores, and there's been some good rugby played. And I think when you've got teams that are prepared to open up and play with the ball, I think it always it adds to watching an interesting game. It's also nice to see teams that are defending well as well. That's always a nice one. But that can become a little bit dour if you're not careful.
Yes. A recent scorer, Lockwood's just gone off as well. Oh, Slick has a lovely ball out of hand. It really was, and he's away and on the gallop, needing to switch it back in field, and just unable to get the pass away there. Thomas Minns on his 100th appearance, former Leeds player, of course.
Covering defence from Sheffield did a good job there. They cut out his support runner so he couldn't find any space. He couldn't find that pass, that inside pass, which we're going to unlock it all again.
I think the thing is, Paul, every time either side attacks, they look like scoring, as Featherstone do again here now. They've got to cross the line 3 times already.
As we talked about before, they showed both teams are prepared to show the ball some air, aren't they?
Yeah, very much so. And it's Featherstone's turn. It really is tit for tat in this contest at the moment, and Brown will be involved and held up, and a Slick ball to get it away here. It must be, surely. He's going to drag himself across in the tackle. It's another score for Featherstone Rovers, and this is just turning into a feast. But every try has come virtually from 5 yards from the line.
Yeah, it's almost like as soon as the opposition gets into the other team's 30, they seem to be just opening them up, don't they?
It's another substitute as well, a replacement. Callum Field who's gone across on this occasion, I think.
Okay.
23-year-old signed from Lee. Yeah, again a bit too easy. He wriggles out of the Guznek tackle.
Yeah. I think it's all when you look at the way that Featherstone are playing, that they've got when they're making that initial sort of half inroad into Sheffield defence, there's somebody on the shoulder and there's someone else on the shoulder, and it's what they're doing is they can only sort of scramble defend for so long, and then they're getting caught up. Particularly if it's within the 30, if it's within Sheffield's 30, you can only scramble defend for so long, and then they're over the try line.
2 points tacked on by Chisholm, so 26-12 it is now. If it carries on this rate, it's going to be 52-24. Have you got your calculator with you?
Yeah, I'll need to get my shoes and socks off.
Once again here, look for Field to appear. There he is, the very tall number 19, and he gets away from Guznek, maybe a little too easily.
Yeah, you could see that Brown were having to hold off because he'd got a support runner with him, so he just shows the ball and holds Brown up, so he gets a one-on-one with Josh Guznek.
It's hard to keep track of the score. He's coming in so regularly.
Changing frequently. Featherstone have made some good yards there coming away from the line. They've just made 25 metres in 2 plays, which you'd be happy with, and there we go again.
Yeah, Chisholm continues to make yardage here too easily.
Yeah.
Don't think Mark Aston will be too happy about some of the defending that's gone on. And there's going to be a penalty against Sheffield Eagles now, which gives Featherstone an opportunity before half-time to register even more points. He'll put this one into touch, will Chisholm, I imagine. And then they'll restart, probably, 20 yards out or something?
Yeah, put this into touch, and it's a lot more of a challenging defensive sequence when they're starting from a set start, because they'll have a set play that they'll be working for, so they'll call the play out, they'll get to a certain field position so they can have a look at them.
Well, especially as they look to be absolutely in the mood.
Yeah,
this is Davies. He was good coming off the bench. Colossal enthusiasm from both sides here. Colossal entertainment for the fans as well to enjoy. And there's another threat. Brown is involved. So is Chisholm. He wriggles and he writhes and he tries to lay on yet another pass for opening a gap in that Sheffield Eagles defence that looks spread-eagled at times. Brown tries to burrow his way across.
They've done well there. Yeah, they're getting stretched, but they keep turning up on this set anyway at the moment.
Oh, could be a big gap on that right for Gale at the corner. He might not need him. He's in again. Well, they are in scorching form here. The winger's got his second, and they're on the way to 30 points. The Featherstone Rovers here in the Keep Moat Stadium, and it's another good day, and they're looking like retaining this 100% record.
It's always going to be a long shift if you conceded 30 points in 40 minutes rugby, but Featherstone they're asking plenty of questions. It's not that they're playing simple stuff. They're shifting ball around and they're asking questions, and the fact that they scored a number of tries right on outside edges tells a story.
They scored the first 2 tries of the afternoon. They've just put consecutive scores together again in the space of, what, 4 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And they've come pretty much right from the far end of the field, which so the Featherstone worked their way up. They got themselves within 10 metres into Sheffield's half, then they conceded a penalty, and it's, usually if you're giving stuff away, then it ends up hurting you at the end of the field. And Sheffield will be doing a little bit of talking, a bit of soul searching going on at the back of the sticks now, and needing to get themselves back, get themselves back on the horse. Otherwise, it could be a landslide if they don't get themselves sorted.
It's a disturbing scoreline for Mark Aston and for Sheffield Eagles. Could get worse with this Chisholm kick, kicking from right to left. And succeeds with this one. He missed his first 2 of the afternoon, but he's got the kicking boots on now, all right. And Featherstone have stretched into a 32-12 lead.
So I'm pretty sure now Sheffield will be wanting to get the ball down there. They're wanting to keep them pegged in and just work their way, get themselves up to half-time with some solid stuff, and then they can have a regroup and a chat about what they need to fix up in the second half.
Well, I think Gale's had an accumulation of about 10 yards to go for his 2 tries, but it doesn't matter. It's the winger who's in the right place at the right time.
No, his name will be at paper. It doesn't matter how many metres he's gone, he'll still get his name at paper tomorrow.
Oh, I did say that Featherstone had scored 272 points in winning their last 7 fixtures against Sheffield, so they're now over 300 in 8 games. So, prolific, I think, is the word.
We talk about it all the time, but it's you earn the right to play with the ball by how you defend, and I think that Sheffield have been a little bit too easy to puncture at times today.
A lot too easy. It will be a high kick from Holmes. Guzdek beneath, good catch.
He's always pretty solid under the stuff, like, the eyeballs and things like that. He deals with them very, very well.
Well, Sheffield Eagles certainly can't afford to concede again before the break. They've been far too brittle defensively, no question about that. I think Mark Aston knew this was always going to be a tough game. No coach ever admits to that before the start of a match. But there are some fixtures, you know that Featherstone are in good form. It'd be like if Toulouse came here, they'd very much start as the favourites.
Yeah, well, what you've got to do is you've got to go in there with the same mindset every week, and you're looking to try and go in there and put a marker down and start playing some good stuff. And once you do that, then momentum can carry you through.
That was a good kick, but troublesome just for the moment for the young wingman who's got that try, of course, in the early stages.
But you can see why Featherstone are right up there. You can see why, and they've got quite a number of players that are not actually, senior players that are not playing today. But as we said at the beginning of the game, sometimes one person's downfall can be another person's opportunity, and that's where they're going with it, I'd say.
Well, you've referred to the players missing. Ben Blackmore, who's got a hamstring, Brett Ferris, Junior Moores, Josh Hardcastle, Chris Wellham, Dale Ferguson, James Harrison. That's half a team.
Yeah, for sure, and there's half a team with a lot of experience under the belt there.
Genzi's managed to slip the pass away. There could even be another score before the break. That's what they're threatening. It's going to be too long. You heard the hooter sound. There's a fumble, and that means they can head for the dressing rooms. But what a half it has been for Featherstone Rovers, who are challenging again at the top of the Betfred Championship. They've run up 32 points in the first half here at the Keepmoat Stadium. And if Sheffield Eagles are going to get anything out of this game, they're going to have to improve immensely in the second part of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've got to be a little bit tougher on, you know, the defensive sort of cohesion's got to be a little bit better. They've got to make sure that that Featherstone at the moment they're finding their way through the first line of defensive contact, and then because they've got a lot of people supporting behind the ball, when they're coming through the line, they're then picking up support runners, and they've breached them. Then they're behind them.
That was the first score of the afternoon, and what a moment for the 19-year-old Jacob Doyle to squeeze over through the tackle of Rob Warrensey. And it was also Featherstone who got the second score of the day, and Gale was a willing party out on that touchline. As I say, he only had to go 5 or 6 yards and he was in. So it was looking rather ominous for the Eagles at that moment. Certainly Gareth Gale, who's got half a dozen scores already this season, romping over. Your eyes light up when you see that amount of space.
Yeah, well, you wondered where their edge defence were there. They were a little bit all at sea, weren't they? They'd been scrambling in the middle, I think, at Sheffield, and I think that's what had probably caused them to be short of numbers on the outside. This again, look at this little offload. All they're doing is they're taking defenders out, popping it up, taking defenders out, popping it up, and they're just keeping it alive. And that keeping it alive means that it's only a matter of time before Sheffield run out of scramble defenders. There you go.
Gale featuring again there, as was Hall, but an easy score in the end for Bussy.
And you know, you've got to credit the opposition. I mean, it makes it look like it's really poor defence, but sometimes you've got to credit them that there's some pretty good skill going on there, that people are prepared to take risks and offload the ball.
Eagles were desperate for a score, and they finally got one, thanks to a first of the season from Brad Knowles.
There you go.
Yeah,
just a little bit more width off the ruck, a nice flat ball, and the defenders don't really have a chance to be able to adjust to it. And
well, we wondered whether Eagles were going to come right back into it at that stage, but not so. And once again, it's from literally 5 yards out that the pass is made, and the score is registered this time by Lockwood, the skipper, his first of the season as well. Well, that was the break that really created the gap for him.
They opened him up, but just a little bit of show, and I think that the tight defenders for Sheffield had been a little bit slow coming out of the blocks, and I think that they just once you get that little bit of an inside shoulder line, you're on. And they've got again here, look, exactly the same thing on the other side of the field. Jimmy Davey, a nice flat ball straight off the base of the floor.
Yeah, Tyler Wilson in. That was a debut score for him as well, but it wasn't long before the threat was coming at the other end of the field. And this time, another of the younger players, Callum Field, 23-year-old, signed from Leeds Centurions, getting in. It's just been a bit too easy. Guzdek made the grab there, but couldn't cling on. And then the final score of this first half did go again to winger Gale. And once more, he was only too happy to plant the final pass over that try line, and it's a big score.
And it's been a tough 40 minutes work defending on the outside edge, on the left edge there for Sheffield. I mean, you've got Carl Hall, he's got a lot of experience, played a lot of rugby, and he's played a lot of rugby in, you know, at Super League level as well. So, you know, you'd say that he is causing them quite a bit of problem, and not necessarily by busting them up himself, but by just sucking defenders in and popping the ball out the back door and getting people away.
Half-time then here at the Keepmoat Stadium. Sheffield Eagles 12, Featherstone Rovers 32.
Wow, it has taken 10 months to get here, but Super League has reached its finale. Oh, he's hit the post, the chasers are on, the ball is disallowed, it's Wellesby. A surreal season has reached the conclusion.
Going for the top.
goal's going to go in. Yes, he is.
On a chance! On a chance!
That's for Smeaton.
Great try.
Teeter backs the pace and will score. Going for the line, reaches out, ball on the line, spots the gap, they're going for it. The cup winners, now the double winners, the Leeds Rhinos. That is one sensational try. He's going over for a try. He's going to score a try. It's the try. Burrow, off he goes. A tremendous try. It is one of the great Wembley tries. It is the Challenge Cup final. And it's going to be Ash Handley.
A kick to the corner. This is a chase, and that's a brilliant take. Superb for Frank Goldthorpe.
And we're off.
It's just popped up in the hole. And here is an unforgettable moment for this group of Leeds players. Maybe this is a new golden generation.
Yeah, it's a great day. It was really intense, but it was good to get around the boys again, get around the coaching staff and meeting Sean for the first time in person. We've had a lot of Zooms, but yeah, it was a great session.
No, it was great. It was great to meet some of the lads, new faces as well. I've not met before, so first in the session, we've obviously done a lot on the Zoom and Zoom meetings, a lot of video online. So it was actually great to meet everyone today and get some quality work done on the field.
Yeah, really good. It was really good to get together, and it's always nice to put on an England, even if it's just a training shirt. Good to get together and obviously meet Sean as the head coach and kind of learn his philosophies and what he wants to do with us. And it was pretty basic session, but really enjoyable. And I feel like I've got a lot out of it, and learnt new things off a new person, which is always good. Sean as the head coach has had so much success. And just got a little snippet into it today, and it was a really enjoyable session.
Good, a good first get together. It's the first time I've been involved in one, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, seeing a different coach's points of view in a game and stuff like that, and how they go about stuff. Yeah, it's good, and it's something that I'll be looking to take back to my club. Everything we worked on today is something that I need to add to my game if I want to be in there at the end of the year. So yeah, still a lot to learn, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, massively. The coaches have made it clear what they expect for us individually and as a team from day one. And that was just transferred straight to the field there, and that was a fantastic session. And it was super sharp, as it always is when you're training at international level, and good signs early on.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're training with the best in Super League as well, it's good, and it ups your levels. You have to up your levels, but it's good to, like I said, the training with quality, and it's no surprise because the players are top quality as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. You turn up and you just know straight away. You're at England, and everything's high quality. Everything gets looked at. No small detail gets missed. It's good. It's eye-opening sometimes. To get a coach to look at the small details that you might miss sometimes. And this morning, all the small details got picked up on. So as a player, it's great because it helps you to improve and be a better player. Next day.
Yeah, first class. Super impressive coaching staff. Obviously, full of ex-internationals as well, which helps, and obviously their experience will help us as we go on to the World Cup as we go through the season. So, high expectation, but high quality, and I think we delivered that today.
Actually, in real life, us speaking to each other in real life, yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, it seems a bit weird that we're actually speaking to each other, which is crazy. But no, really enjoyable. Got a lot out of the day, and it's going to hold us in good stead, I'd say.
At Dacia, we know how to make a little go a long way. So right now, you can pick up the award-winning Dacia Duster for £149 a month. Dacia, you do the maths.
Welcome back to the Keep Moat Stadium. Yes, that is the score. It is only half time. If it carries on like this, we might get a century of points here today. 32-12, and Featherstone Rovers, Paul Broadbent, good value for that lead.
Yeah, they're offering quite a bit of challenge, aren't they? They're moving the ball around, and the thing that's really impressive about them is that they've got a number of players. It's not putting an attacking shape on with just one player. With the one that's on the strike, they've got people pushing on shoulders and people working, and it's all about having bodies in motion.
We've just been talking about Fu Brown, who is the halfback. He's a Samoan international. He was advised by doctors 2 years ago to give up the sport because of his very, very serious foot injury. But you can tell his quality. You can tell he's played in NRL.
Well, the way if he's unlocking them like this and causing them this much trouble on one foot, then I'd hate to see him on two. He's certainly a bit of an handful, and he's a bit of a threat. And you can see that he's got the ability to unlock teams, and that's what causes threat. You know, as soon as you've got him on that side, you've got him on their right hand side, and you've got Hall outside him, and then you've got the winger outside him, and what they're doing is, because of the threat, Sheffield are feeling like they're having to overcompensate, so they're working extremely hard and leaving holes in the middle, and then that's where they're getting caught through the middle when they're using the little inside plays and drop off plays and stuff like that. So yeah, he does look a bit of an handful.
I'd like to ask you about one other player who I know you know something about. That's Dean Perata, who's another Australian who's on the subs bench for the starters today. Just to confirm, by the way, these scores before you answer. And Bradford apparently did win 33-8, so we got duff information earlier at London. That's a big win for
yeah, that's a great
Bulls.
result. And look, London have been a little bit. They've been so wobbly at times this year. They played brilliantly well and look really, really good value for money. And then all of a sudden, a week after, they'll turn up with something that's just totally out of the blue.
I think the other results were pretty predictable. Halifax, a good win up at Newcastle without conceding a point. Widnes, I said they've been strangely lethargic recently, but they've defeated Whitehaven. And Oldham, well, they're having a tough time, so no surprise in them getting beaten up at York.
York are quietly going about the business, aren't they? Picking up here and there and just getting the stuff done.
Well, interesting results there around the Rugby League. And I was just going to ask you here about Dean Perata. I saw him play the other week for Featherstone against Whitehaven, and he had a massive impact when he came on.
Yeah, really good kid, really. I spent a bit of time coaching with him and working with him with Italy when he was playing for Italy. Him and his brother both represented Italy throughout the World Cup, and he was only a young kid coming through then, and he spent a bit of time over here playing. I think he's had a couple of years with Barrow, and he's been around quite a bit now, and yeah, I really liked him. I liked his energy, and I like his he's defensively put himself around and worked really hard, but he loved to pick the ball up, and he's one of these nines that just likes to be getting out there and challenging opposition.
The wind is whipping up, Paul, here. It's getting blusterier and blusterier, if that's the correct word.
Just a little bit. You know, I was expecting to be coming and doing these in my shorts and my tee-shirt. Now what's going on? The world's gone mad, hasn't it?
Oh, don't you appear here in your shorts. The girls will go wild.
Oh, yeah.
Dear. It's the last game of the day, of course, here with a 4:30 kick-off. We were delayed just a little bit. And we're hoping for no further delays. But anyway, we're enjoying the Rugby League, and it's great that the fans are here to savour it, isn't it? Because we know exactly what they've been missing for over 12 months.
I think the fans will be really enjoying it. I think the Featherstone fans will be enjoying it a little bit more than the Sheffield ones, because I think the Sheffield will be, there'll be A little bit disappointed, if I'm honest. I think that the Sheffield will be asking a few questions of themselves inside the dressing room, and they'd have hoped that they'd have been making a bit more of a contest of it in the first 40.
Yeah, they are there, as you can see. Just an explanation of why Sheffield Eagles are playing here in Doncaster. Of course, their own Olympic Legacy Park is being improved, so it's up to standard for the Betfred Championship in Rugby League.
Yeah, that's right. They're on with they're putting a stand down one side, which is going to have some corporate above it, and it's also going to have some seating, and there's going to be a bit of standing as well. So I think it'll work really well, and it'll make it quite a suitable ground for Sheffield at this stage, and they're hoping to develop it further as time moves on.
Well, there are a few nomadic clubs in the league. I had the joy of being at Roslyn Park the other day, and of course London today were playing back in Ealing, and later in the season they're hoping to move to Plough Lane, the home of the Wimbledon Football Club. I think they've played in something like 12 or 15 stadiums of London.
Yeah, I think that, I would hate to be able to try and recall them all, but I think, like I said to you earlier, I started in Fulham and played at we used to play. We played at nearly every football ground.
Craven Cottage, Charlton, certainly.
Apart from Arsenal, I don't think we played
You never got there. No, I remember them playing at the Valley, that's for sure.
Yeah, we played at the Valley for a couple of years, didn't they?
Yeah,
and they played at the Stoop as well, which is not a football ground, obviously, but that was there for a while. So they've certainly had a few. Was it Barnet? They played at Barnet at one
Yes,
time?
they played at Barnet as well. Yeah. By the way, you probably played at Southend and Kent Invicta, did you as well?
Yeah, that'd be right. Yeah, no, I think that was the year before I started.
Otherwise you'd have played
1936.
At least it wasn't 1836. So we are awaiting the arrival of the two teams on the pitch again, but it gives us another chance to chat about that first half. I think Mark Aston will be disappointed about the ease with which Featherstone were able to punch holes in that defence.
Yeah, the way they're moving the ball around, and it's a key thing. Is the more you can get, and a lot of players that they feel like that sometimes they don't offer themselves if they're not going to be the one on the ball, and it's not that the secret to it is offering yourself even if you might not be the one that gets it, because all it does is it means that all the other defenders have got to take an interest in you, so it means that you can get a one-on-one for your teammate who's carrying the ball, and I think that Featherstone have done that really well this afternoon. Up to now in the first half they've done it incredibly well, and I think that by the fact that they've been getting one-on-ones, they've been pushing through the Sheffield line, and then they're picking people up at the other side of the defensive line, which means that they've breached them then, and once you've breached them, it's all bets are off then. It's a scramble situation, and getting your defensive formation back to shape, even if you do manage to scramble it, it's very difficult. So normally what will tend to happen is that teams will concede, even if they scramble back, they'll concede in the next 2 or 3 tackles anyway.
Well, I hope wherever you're watching around the world, and this is being streamed around the world, by the way, that you've enjoyed the coverage of the game so far. If you think that we're wittering on a little bit here, it is because there is a delay before the resumption of the match, which stands at 32-12 in the favour of Featherstone Rovers at the moment. There's a short delay, hopefully, before the resumption of the game here. There was a previous match played between Doncaster and West Wales Raiders earlier. I don't want to give anything away in case you've been watching that match, but there were a lot of points in that game, and there have been a lot of points in this one, and well, the way it's going, you won't be surprised at any score from this match.
No, I think there is, when you get in the big scores, when you get the blowout scores where the teams are not competing, other teams are absolutely, cleaning them up. I'm not so sure that that's brilliant for the game, but it's nice to see teams playing some open, expansive rugby, which is encouraging and showing, there's some really quality pieces of skill and some. You go outside Super League and you watch some of the Championship games, and there's some real quality players and some quality rugby being played around, and I don't think, because it doesn't get the TV exposure, it maybe doesn't get the sort of the sort of, I don't know, the expression that it deserves. It should be given a little bit more appreciation than what it actually gets, I'd say.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I've always felt over the years that rugby league gets short shrift when it comes to publicity and viewing time. Here again, some of next week's matches. Toulouse, who are, well, not running away with it, but they've made a fantastic start to the season. They have to be the favourites. They're up against Newcastle Thunder next. down in 13th place. Batley Bulldogs, they were good here the other week. They registered a victory
you'd
here.
expect them to be to come to be the favourites in that one. You know,
Yeah, against Swinton Lions, they're having a tough time. Bradford Bulls now have a couple of home games, the first of which is against York City Knights.
That'll be an interesting one because Bradford are playing at Dewsbury at the moment, and Dewsbury's a very tight pitch. So depending on if we ever do get any dry days, it might help, you know. But if it's still raining and it's still pretty, what it does is it just dampens down any football flair, as you'd call it, and makes it usually the quite tight games.
Featherstone Rovers on the road again. They're not far to go to the Shea. Well, they'll meet the Halifax Panthers. Good win for them today. London Broncos, yet another home fixture for London. They meet Dewsbury Rams next. Oldham having a tough time, but you never know. They've played Widnes once already this season. And Sheffield's next task is here next weekend against Whitehaven. Now they're a bit of a...
They're blowing a bit hot and cold, aren't they?
Yeah, they are a bit.
By all accounts, they had a pretty good go at Featherstone the other week, and then today they look like they've been very indifferent.
I mean, it looks as though Oldham and Swinton are going to have a really tough time of it.
Yeah, it's starting to sort of separate away a little bit now, and you look at the league table, and I think that you've got your ones that you can say are going to be serious contenders at the top end, and then you've got a bit of a middle band, but then you've got your teams that are really struggling down at the bottom end, and it can be sometimes the relegation battle can be quite well on its way before you even get towards the end of the season.
Well, yes, there is promotion and relegation and some useful teams. Barrow look as though they're going to be a top team, maybe.
Yeah.
Barrow and Workington always hard places to go to.
Cumbria, yeah, it's always been a tough, and it's always been a stronghold for rugby league. I mean, for me, when Super League first started out, it was, you know, it was a real shame when they lost the Super League sort of franchise and they didn't have a Super League team up there, because historically Cumbria has always been a rugby league storehold. You know, it's always been up there, and there's been loads and loads of quality players. But what tended to happen since they dropped out of Super League, and Super League have still had an invested interest, what they've been doing is a lot of the players. So there's been a number of players that have come down and linked up with likes of, you know, Warrington and your St Helens and teams like that. They've brought down the real quality kids that they've been able to see, and some of them have prospered, and some of them have fallen by and gone back up to Cumbria.
And yet they're all, I refer to shipbuilders and lads like that, people who work in those yards. Whenever you go to Cumbria, you know you're in for a bruising battle.
It's just, you know, what they are is they're just honest people, and you know, the way their hearts on the sleeves, and they're pretty brave out there. I think that's how you'd summarise it. And when you go play up there, you know, if you're going to get a win, you're going to have to put your body on the line, and you're going to get knocked about a little bit, and you're going to come away feeling a little bit worse for wear next day.
Which was your worst experience in that part of the world?
I would say probably one of the when we went up to Barrow, and well, saying that, there was two. One of them we played Workington, and we should have Gary Etherington had taken us up the day before. Then it was freezing cold. It was middle of winter, and by all accounts, it should have been really called off. And you know, because Gary had paid the money for the hotel, he was desperate for the game to go on, and he's kicking his heel into the floor and trying to convince the referee, and it was nearly knocking heel off his shoes, and he was trying to convince the referee that this game's playable. It's all right. And oh my God, by the time we got to second half and the sun had gone down, you could hear it was like we're running about in all the studs. You could hear them like running about on concrete. But anyway, we managed to squeeze a result, which I think that made Gary happy. He didn't like wasting money, did he?
No, I know, he still doesn't. No, great memories.
Yeah.
And it is I don't know, it's just a part of the world that is just so steeped in rugby league, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always enjoy going up there, whether it's working to Whitehaven or Barry. It used to be Carlisle, of course, at one time as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, but like I said, there's such a big area up there, and it's got such a rugby league history about it, and you'd really like to see, in some form, you'd like to see, even if it was a Cumbrian Super League team rather than a specific area, but whether they'd sort of come round to that sort of way of thinking, because they can be very when you talk about clubs and the history and things like that, I'm not going and supporting them if they've come from that club, and I'm not going and supporting them, but I don't know, I think they'd be pretty pleased to have a Super League franchise up there, wouldn't they?
Oh, they would. Very hospitable people. Just to keep you up to date here as best we can, by the way, I can't give you too much information, but there is a hold-up. You're absolutely missing no action whatsoever at the Keep Moat Stadium here. I feel a bit for the fans because they won't know what's going on, really.
Yeah, we believe that there's some sort of something to do with the dressing room.
I think all we can say is that there is an ambulance in the ground at the moment, but we can't give you any more information than that. But it's nothing to do with the actual play or any of the players.
No, it's nothing to do with that. We've been just told that there is a delay on the game, and it's something to do with the dressing room areas, but we don't really know what it's about, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Meanwhile, Paul and I will just keep chatting away, hopefully for your entertainment. Let's go right back to the start of this game. I thought Sheffield looked as though they started pretty well, but it was disappointing. I was a bit surprised, to be honest with you, that Rob Warrency was beaten by the young wingman making his debut on the other side.
Well, that's unfortunately the nature of our game, is that there's always a young fella that's coming out there ready to try and show the old fellas up, and I think he turned him inside out there, which he'll be pretty pleased about, but Rob Warrency won't be too happy about. But you're always as you go through your career and you start getting towards that sort of the twilight of your career, as you want to call it, there's the young fellas that are coming out there and they're trying to put a marker down and show that they're the next generation, and that's what he's done.
Yeah, a lot of tries do go to wingmen, and Gareth Gale, he's a big unit out on that right-hand side, but he hadn't had too much to do with the 2 tries that he scored.
No, well, that's generally, if you've got a quality team and they're creating the right spaces and they're doing the job, if the people inside are doing a good job by the way that they engage the defenders and they strip out the defenders as they're shifting the ball across, usually the wingers will go in almost untouched. And you see it a lot of the time. I mean, Castleford have been, they've been one of the teams that have probably been able to execute that quite well. And you see their wingers will be top try scorers and stuff like that, and probably 2/3 of the tries they've never had an hand put on them, and that's probably because the coaching staff at Castleford and the coaching staff at Featherstone are working really hard on the people in the middle, getting to the line, engaging defenders, so that the defenders that are actually tagged up on them are not able to get out and cover the space on the outside, so that when they do get out there's loads of space to play with.
I've always thought of Featherstone as a prolific team. They often seem to figure in high-scoring matches, but they do give you a chance. And really, when Sheffield got themselves back into the game, it was because the marking wasn't as it maybe should have been, which allowed the first score to go to Brad Knowles.
Yeah, Sheffield, I do feel like they've probably missed Anthony Thackeray in the sort of the way that he's been pushing him around the field and organising. I don't think that that's the defensive attributes. Sheffield should have been a little bit tougher and a little bit more aggressive in the way that they were stopping Featherstone from punching through them. But I do think that when they've had the ball, they've only been asking the real questions when they've been within 10 metres of Featherstone's line, and usually Sheffield ask a lot of questions from between the 30s, I'd say. When you've got Thackeray that's sort of creating shape and getting stuff going on the edges, that's when they've been, just seen very little from James Glover today, for the simple fact that, the ball's not been getting the right sort of exposure.
Sheffield then did need the next score, but unfortunately they were found to be extremely vulnerable. And the 2 scores that came after that were really easy ones. One of them was a try for Bussey, and I think he went in from about 5 yards out. And the next one with the captain Lockwood, his first score of the season. That tells you something about the way Featherstone play. He was the last of their regular players to get a try for this season, and it's only the 5th game. They've all been on the try sheet.
Yeah, so they're certainly asking questions around the field, aren't they? And they're asking questions on the inside as much as they are on the outside. It's one of the things that I sort of, have a little bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a moan about it. You start to feel like you're one of these, it's not like our day, that sort of thing. But it ain't like that. It's just I look at the game and I just think that there's so many missed opportunities with inside plays and drop-off balls and people not prepared to have a look at what's going on inside, because they're too preconceived with the idea of let's strip them out and let's get them away on the outside.
It is May, by the way, isn't it? I'm shivering here nearly.
Tell me about it. I think I could do with we could do with a check blanket over his knees. Us two sat here like them 2 old muppets up on balcony.
Yeah, thank you. Which one are you? I did say it's the Keep Warm Stadium today. There's going to be another announcement. They'll try and listen to it. I don't know if your hearing is better than mine.
So he just said that they'll be resuming as soon as they can. There's been a medical incident in the tunnel area, so
that's as much as we're can inform you about at the moment, that there has been a medical incident in the tunnel. Happens from time to time. Worse for me, well, I shouldn't say that. Yesterday, I was stuck in a traffic jam for 2 hours, so it's been a great weekend. There's nothing more frustrating than a traffic jam when you just can't move and people getting out of the cars and standing there.
The only good thing about being stuck in a traffic jam for 2 hours is if you were on way to shopping and not on your way back. You actually won't spend any money if you spend 2 hours sat in your car.
Well, Sheffield Eagles are struggling here at home for some reason. I always think any team needs to perform well in front of their own fans. I wouldn't say they performed badly at all, but their only home win was against Bradford, and it was a big win as well.
Yeah, it was a really good performance. And you know, they'd probably done enough in the other 2 games. When you watch them against London, and they ended up getting that draw against London. I'm always a believer that if you're in the fight, you know, some will go against you and some will go for you, and they've been in the fight. You know, they have been in the fight, and I think it swings and roundabouts. It will come round, and they will get. But what they've got to do, they've got to have a little bit more resilience about them than they showed in the first 40 minutes of this half. The game. They started off, like you said, they started quite sprightly. They looked like they was on the front foot. They looked like they was on the toes, and if I'm honest, Featherstone looked like they were sort of a little bit slow out of the blocks, and they looked like they were just sort of working their way into it. And then they got the first try, and once they got the first try, it was all one-way traffic from them, pretty much, wasn't it?
Yeah, we mentioned the list of a real crop of Featherstone players who are missing today. The likes of Harrison and Ferris and Ferguson and Wellham have all been around a bit. But when you think of Sheffield, you know, they're missing Greg Burns, they're missing Anthony Thackeray, they're missing Miller, the wingman, who's been impressive in the early phases of this season as well, and Mariano. So, you know, they're suffering even more, maybe.
Yeah, so both teams have got a... but at the end of the day, if you've got a shirt, you're out there, and they should be able, you know, and that's the bottom line, is that, you know, the depth of the squad usually measures where a team will end up being, because they should be able to lose players and still be able to fill it up from the bottom, which ultimately should keep them, if the squad's the right sort of strength, then they should be able to keep turning up.
Well, in Mark's interview before the game, he did say that there'd be more debutants before the end of the season. They've used 23 players so far in this campaign, and they've only played, 6 league games and 1 cup tie against York. But it's a big squad of players, you know. They want 27, 28 players, so others will get their chance.
It's difficult, because for championship teams, very few of them will run a reserve team, so that means that there's nowhere for the players to get the game exposure. And if you're not getting game exposure, then your match fitness is dropping away every week. You do get a game, and then when you get a game, your fitness levels are probably, you know, where you need to be and what you're wanting to do. Probably your engine's not holding up because you've not got the game time under your belt, and that's the difficult part about it all, you know.
I think what is good about this game of rugby league is that there are still a lot of opportunities for very, very good people at this championship level, and indeed at the next level down as well. So we've talked about James Webster, and he's imposing his authority and his character on this Featherstone team. Yeah,
for sure. He's making them have a little bit of ownership, and the way that they're playing the game, I think, reflects him. You know, because and one of the coaches once said to me is that if you're getting it right as a coach, eventually your team should reflect you. So if you've got the right sort of attributes and the right, so if you're one that you value hard work and toughness and honesty and stuff like that, then that's what your team will end up reflecting. If you're one that likes to be, you like flair and you like to be able to shift the ball and you like to ask questions and you like to play with open rugby, then your team will end up reflecting you. So I think he's getting it right when you look at the way they're playing.
I very much felt that with Batley Bulldogs and Craig Lingard as well. I think they reflected the way he plays.
So it almost follows suit, and when you look around you can see that that is very much what it's like.
So just to reiterate, there is no play here at the moment at the Keep Moat Stadium. Featherstone Rovers have taken a bit of a stranglehold on the match, as you can see from that caption there in the Betfred Championship here. 32 points to 12 they lead. And the try scorers for them already, a young man by the name of Jacob Doyle in his first game. He got the first score of the afternoon. Then Gareth Gale on the flank, he's got a couple of scores as well. Lockwood, the captain, James Lockwood, he was next across the line. Then it was Callum Field's turn, coming on as a replacement. Gale again getting a score just before half-time. And for Sheffield, their 2 try scorers so far have been Brad Knowles and Bobby Tyler Wilson, whose brother is also on the bench today, making his debut. Harry Tyler Wilson, he's just 23 years of age. Their dad, Rob Wilson, is a former Hull player and a very good tutor to have in the family.
Yeah, that's right, Rob Wilson. I remember him playing at Hull. A quality player. Yeah, did a great stint for Hull and one of the backbones of their team. Looks like it looks like we've got some rain coming up as well. Now looking at these clouds, I don't know about we could end up needing raincoats before that's all blankets.
That's all we need here, isn't it?
Yeah.
So looking at those fixtures to come, Sheffield against Whitehaven next week, that might just be the opportunity that is required. Another announcement, as you can hear. I think they're just asking for patience from the supporters because of the incident in the tunnel, which has given us another opportunity to look at these scores and results here and the fixtures next week. So I was saying that Sheffield Eagles have that opportunity to register a first win in what might be 5 against Whitehaven.
Yeah, you know, it's going up against a team that's struggling. They're always a danger because they're desperate and they're just as desperate as anyone else because they need the win and they're desperate for the win. But you would like to think that if Sheffield can get the little bit of confidence back and they can start playing on playing the sort of rugby that they know they can play, then there's no reason why it couldn't gain them that momentum and get them back up where they want to be. And it's a bit, you start talking like Sheffield are really, really struggling. They've struggled in this 40 minutes, but in the other games, they've actually, they've been in the fight all the way through, and it's only been, for the last, what would you say, 10 minutes against Batley that it got away from them. And they haven't played since then. The London game, they'd pretty much done everything to win it, but then ended up losing it right on the last whistle. So, they've done enough, and they've been in competitive in nearly every game that they've played. This is probably the one where they'll be pretty disappointed with themselves.
Yeah, the Featherstone, they go to Halifax, who have been something of an enigma so far. They've had a couple of very, very good wins, and I think nilled the opposition, and then they've let themselves down, which is why they're down in 7th spot in the table.
Yeah, well, you touched on it a little bit earlier, I think, Johnny, when you talked about the you need to be winning your own games, and you need to, if you pick up your own games, but you've also got to say, and you've also indicated on this as well, is that teams that you expect to beat, you should be picking up. Then if you can, depending on where you are in the league or where you expect to be in the league, if you can, pick up a couple of scalps off the big guns or the ones that are the front runners that you'd expect, then it puts you in a strong position. Most of the teams that do really well in a season, when you look at it overall, those will be the ones that they've just kept. They might not be playing brilliant, but they just keep picking up the wins that they're expected to pick up, and then they'll pick up a couple of really big wins off the big guns, and then you're up and running then.
Yep. Toulouse are top of the table at the moment. I say they're running in points for fun. That's the phrase of the moment.
Yeah, they'll take a bit of pegging back, won't they, this time around? But they've got when I've watched them last year, they've got a lot of what I call quality, and you can see that they've recruited really, really well. But they've got some really big boys who can ask some really serious questions, and they play a really open, sort of expansive style of rugby.
Yeah, so Carella was back yesterday as well, and he was kicking a lot of goals and scoring a couple of tries. And they have another international player due to come once he's finished his season with Carcassonne. So, you'd expect Toulouse to be up then. It's been a shame that our clubs have not been able to go and play over in France.
Yeah. Which is another interesting one because they're playing away from home every week and they're still performing extremely well. Dread to think what they'll be like when they start getting a few home games.
Yeah, they've been playing at Swinton's ground, which is the Sale Rugby Union ground, of course.
Yeah. But all the same, that's a pretty good surface, I think.
Yeah.
From what I can gather, that's a really good surface, and it's you know, it'll be it won't take too much away from, apart from the fact that they won't have the same sun that there's not much there's no sign of any sun here today.
I don't think we're going to get any sun here, no, sorry. The other game that stood out to me there was the one between Bradford and York. Bradford looks to be coming into a little bit of form now, but York have had the Indian sign over them once or twice. James Ford's put together a good team there, and he's done an excellent job as coach.
Yeah, they've been a little bit sort of what do you call them? Maybe a bit inconsistent again. A little bit like Bradford, possibly. That they've been, you know, everybody's expecting big things of them, but they've just not hit the straps, and they've been winning, but then losing, and winning, and then losing. So they're not really where they were hoping to be with regards to the sort of consistency of the rugby that they're performing. But they have had, you know, they've been picking up the wins here and there, which have been keeping them in the fray, as you call it.
Well, I think if you and I can relate to the performance here from Bradford, the biggest difference is that they've now got Danny Brough partnered with Jordan Lilly. Lilly didn't play that game because he was suspended, and they badly missed him.
We've already talked about having like one half back, and one half back makes it very, very difficult, because what they know to do is if they shut that one half back down, it almost it stagnates what the opposition are trying to throw at you. So when you've got Lilly and Brough, they can share up the workload, and I think, well, I didn't get that one.
No, it was another reference.
It was on the tannoy, but I didn't get it.
So it was another reference to the tunnel area.
These headphones that are doing a good job. Keeping my ears warm anyway, I know that much.
I've sometimes got tunnel vision, but I've definitely not got good hearing today. So again, once again, apologies to everybody. We do sincerely regret this delay in the coverage, and that's why we're having a good long chat. Paul is giving a chance for you and I to get to know one another as if we didn't. I hope we're trying to entertain you
with
some
absolutely
knowledge.
amazed. She won't even be able to believe that I've got half an hour's conversation in me.
They won't believe that we've not been up to no good, will they? You know, we're going to be late home again tonight.
I think we've been out for a drink after.
But all we can relate to you is that there has been an incident in the tunnel area here. An ambulance was called, and that's why there is a delay to the resumption in this game between Sheffield Eagles and Featherstone Rovers. But Featherstone, one of those great traditional clubs. I mean, I go back to the 70s when they won the Challenge Cup against Bradford. And then I remember beating Hull when David Hobbs was man of the match.
Yeah.
He was a formidable character.
Yeah.
They always had great forwards, haven't they? You know, Peter Smiths and Terry Clawsons and Terry Ramshaws, people like that. Jimmy Thompson and Keith Bridges. The names are rolling off the tongue now.
All tough as old boots. So all, if you went there, like I said earlier, you know you're in for a battle.
Whistle down the pit and up comes a prop four. I always remember a lovely story from David Watkins, who was a great friend of mine, a former British Lions player, Welsh Rugby Union international before he moved to Salford in Rugby League. And when he made his debut, the Sun newspaper was full of him making his debut, having made the move north. And his first match was at Post Office Road against Featherstone.
Baptism of fire.
Yeah, and he said he was about a minute into the match, and all of a sudden they're playing uphill, and he sees Arnie Morgan and Mal Dixon and Terry Clawson, somebody all descending on him and hammered him into the ground, and they said, "Twinkle, twinkle now, little star." Those were the first words he heard. Welcome to Rugby League.
Well, do you know what, Featherstone ground? I've been playing there. We used to play there in Casson District finals when I was 11, 12 years old, and I played there, and it's still the big debate. Do you play uphill or do you play downhill? In first half, it's like, I don't know that anybody's ever actually worked it out, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Save all your energy, and then you can come downhill in second half. Oh yeah, I don't know. And then you're trying to get 20 points back because they've cleaned you up in first half.
And the other funny story, I'm sure nobody wouldn't mind me telling them, there was a lady called Annie Miller who was a real fan of Featherstone Rovers, born and bred in Featherstone Rovers. And if the opposition scored and she was anywhere near, she used to run on with an umbrella and smack the try scorer over the head with the umbrella. So it didn't pay to score at Featherstone when Annie was there.
Good old days, eh?
Oh, great days. Yeah. Tommy Smale's pub down the road.
Yeah, Thomas Mills. I remember going to see Thomas Mills. He used to be a bit of a physio. He used to go and get physio treatment off him. Oh my God! I once went in and there's no wonder they were all tough as old boots. He went in there with a bad ankle, and I come out. He says, "What's it like?" I says, "There's nothing wrong with it now. It's all right." I didn't go back.
Yeah, Alan Hardisty became a physio as well.
Yeah,
Before
that's right, yeah.
Castleford Harp. He was still working until fairly recently, I think. Maybe still is. So once again, it's 12:32. It'll be 12:32 on the clock by the time we finish talking here, I think. 12 points for Sheffield Eagles and 32 for Featherstone Rovers.
Will they be charging them extra for using down if they're to put floodlights on?
Well, they might be doing, yeah.
Times it get dark, 9:30.
Yeah, it was last night, funnily enough. It was a wonderful, lovely night. The weather was better over in Lancashire than it was in Yorkshire yesterday, I can assure you. It's, the worst thing is it is chilly, to say the least.
Chilly.
Everybody, we're all in the same boat.
I think that's an understatement.
Yes.
We're both sat here dithering. I can hardly feel my fingers now. I can't believe that I can't feel my fingers from first knuckle up, and that's middle of May.
Yeah, you'll have played in matches where you couldn't feel your fingers, I suspect.
Yeah, a number of times, in my toes and things like that. Played at Fartown. I remember playing at Fartown. That was one of the ones when they cleared all snow off the line, so we could play. Jeez, that was a freezing day. That.
Yeah. Hodsall Stadium in the fog.
Then they built the it used to be McAlpine Stadium. What's it called these days?
John Smith.
Yeah, John Smith Stadium. They built that one then, and it was miles warmer down there, so we didn't mind playing there. And it didn't get muddy because it was all sandy, so which was even better. You know, for people that had got a blistering pace like myself.
Yeah, you were quick. I remember that.
I was quick. I was always quick to bar.
Captain at Wembley.
Yeah.
That must have been a very proud moment in all seriousness.
A pretty special day for Eagles, and it was a special day for everybody that had been involved at the club, not just for the players. It was for the people that had tirelessly been.
Second half of this afternoon's match. As our medical team has come to the conclusion dealing with a medical incident in the tunnel area. Before the second half begins, the players will come out for approximately 5 minutes for a quick warm-up, and then
well, I did.
All of that will keep you up to date, but as I say, the referee does have every intention of resuming action for the second half very shortly.
A booming system is, so at least I think we all heard that.
Yeah, he's saying that they're going to come out and have a warm up for 5 minutes just prior to restarting second half.
Well, at least that suggests that there will be a restart imminently. We can only hope.
Maybe they'll let us go down and warm up with them for 5 minutes because it's freezing.
I'm not sure that warm up is the right word today. Any information is gratefully received. We're stuck up here on the gantry, and seems to have been here half a day, at least, if not half a month.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, we do believe that we will shortly have a resumption.
At least we know we haven't missed summer while we've been sat up here, because there's been no sun anywhere near us today, has there? And we only usually get one day a year, don't we, good sun, and then we can write it off then and say it's over.
Yeah, I feel for those hardy spectators who are sitting there as well. At least they have kept them informed over the loudspeaker system. But it's going to be a memorable afternoon for you and I, Paul.
Yeah.
I hope it's not a two-day match.
Yeah. It feels a bit like a cricket match, doesn't it? Yeah.
I always feel for the linesmen when it's a horrible day, or touch judges as they are in this sport. If it's a horrible day and they've just got to stand on the touchline or run up and down with a flag occasionally. Okay. There might be some more information imminent.
The games are worse.
Yeah, we have official confirmation the players will be out in 5 minutes from now to warm up for 5 minutes, and then play will resume hopefully in 10 minutes. So wherever you're watching, it is 20 minutes past 6 here in Doncaster in South Yorkshire.
And it's quite
in the evening, by the way.
This could be really interesting, this, because the stoppage and the break could actually play into Sheffield's favour if they get their heads around it and they actually come out and because it can be so when you're in the zone and you're in that little bit of a phase, it can be so disruptive when something that's not the norm happens, and this is certainly not the norm, is it?
The only thing I can relate it to, funnily enough, is this is name dropping for you. I was doing the Gold Cup in America. That's a football tournament, as in soccer, in Chicago. When we'd been warned that there was going to be thunder and lightning, possibly during the half-time interval, and boy, did it come down. And the match was suspended and didn't resume until 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to worry you, but the match did resume at 1 o'clock in the morning after a 4-hour delay.
4 hours?
Yeah, there were 4 hours. You could have gone home, gone back to the hotel and come back. But no, the second half was played 4 hours after the first half.
Wow. And did the result change?
No, I remember that. I can't remember. Chile were playing. I do remember that. And there was another which involved a very...
should be here today.
a match which involved a man local to here, Howard Webb, who was one of the few Englishmen to have refereed a World Cup final. He was refereeing in Nigeria in a game. I was also there, by the way. And something similar there, absolutely torrential downpour, and the pitch wasn't fit to be played on after it until, I think it was about 2.5 hour delay that they waited, but they were determined to get it played that day.
I remember us playing when I was coaching, and we were playing Doncaster when I was going to coaching at York, when that my first season as a coach, and the post blew over.
I've seen that as well.
The post blew over, so they had a stoppage. They were like a 20. We were the ones that were a bit. We weren't quite as far in front. We were quite in control at that stage of the game. Just before half time, we come in. We were pretty buoyant. We had about a 20-minute delay while they put the post back up, and we ended up losing games. So we blamed it on that.
I saw that happen at Bellevue, funnily enough, a Doncaster game.
Oh yeah.
Well, here come the players. Are we pleased to see them?
I say, at least we know that some action is imminent. You know, I think that we've been sat here that long. I think grass needs cutting.
You might be right. Are they allowed to do that? There have been some impressive performances from this Featherstone Rovers side. And the one who's caught my eye, funnily enough, Holmes is a good half-back as well. Yeah. Brown is the one I think really has caught the eye.
Shown up very well. But Holmes, they're very different. Like again, you've got Brown, who's a little bit elusive, and he's quite an individual sort of player that sort of creates things. But then you've got, I think Holmes has been very instrumental in sort of making sure that the plays on and the shapes are all in the right place at the right time. Which you need a balance of everything. You don't want two controlling pivots. You want somebody that's going to be able to ask questions individually, and you want someone else that's going to be able to organise and push them around the field, a general as such.
Yeah, we should just pass on our best wishes to whoever has.
Yeah, I hope they're okay.
Yeah, down below in the tunnel, whatever's happened there, we hope that everybody's okay. Just put it as simply as that, with no more information. But that's just all we can say. But here we are, back getting the fingers warm again. We keep telling you that that's not the right phrase for the day, because it's almost bitterly cold.
This is
summer rugby, whatever happened to summer rugby. Yeah, and Sheffield will still be in the red, thank goodness, with the nice big white numbers. Featherstone Rovers in the less readable black numbers on their blue shirts. But playing well. There's no denial that Featherstone Rovers look like a potential champion and a very, very good side.
Yeah, they've looked the deal in the first 40 minutes, but it's not over till it's over, is it? It's an 80-minute game, and it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see now how they respond to this. This sequence of events that's happened that's not normal. Normally, preparing for games, everybody, you have like a set sequence a lot of the time, and when you get something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, it can really sort of put teams about. It depends. They've got enough experience and professionalism in their team, you would think, to be able to sort of to switch back on and get back on the horse, but it doesn't always carry, does it?
I'd love to know what they've been doing in the dressing room in this long delay. Probably being modern, they've been playing on their box tops or whatever they call them these days.
No, I guess they'd have been in the dressing room. They'll have been having just a bit of a down sort of downtime, I'd say, so that they just stay, and then 5 minutes before they go out, they'll be wanting to try and get them G'd up again, so that they don't. Because if you're all pacing around, like just burning up what you call energy, nervous energy, it doesn't really add to the situation, does it?
Bit of a massage as well, maybe. Take the opportunity.
Possibly, if one or two of them were a bit, if we've got tight calves or anything like that, sometimes that can have that can be something that they'll do.
Yeah, watching county cricket these days, I'm astonished at the number of times players leave the field. They're coming and going all the time. In fact, the busiest players are the substitutes who are every over they have to come on, because umpires are not allowed to put player sweaters around to take those nowadays.
Right, they're not.
No, so the 12th man is on all the time, and they go off for physio or anything.
In the days years ago, with like you used to have your subs, and you didn't ever want to get brought off. You wanted to play the full game, and if you got brought off, it was because you were playing poorly, or that's how you always envisaged it. But in them days, you used to have 6 subs, I think it were. So it weren't particularly the subs. The subs were classed as subs, and they came on. But now, these days, it's you've got 10 substitutions, and it's a full interchange. And if you can measure the team normally by the strength of the bench. Because if they've got a really strong bench, they're going to be as impactve right through the game, and if they've got a weak bench, it means that as soon as they start sort of rolling players round, it's going to weaken the team. But that's what the modern game's like. It's everybody's got to play the part.
We've been plenty of talking over the last 2 hours. Who are the best talkers? Because every team needs a leader, and those are what we call talkers.
I don't think Mark Aston's ever been short for a couple of words. He's always. He took a glass eye to sleep.
Darryl Powell as well, probably.
Darryl he was a bit of a talker, but half-backs are always there. They've always got to have plenty of chirp, and they've got to be able to sort of take you around the field. But yeah, as far as I don't think Mark were far behind when it comes to the ones that had got plenty to say.
You're looking for players who make yards. I think Jack Bussey's made a lot of ground today as well.
Yeah.
He seems to have led from the front.
Yeah, I think that throughout the pack, you'd say that all the pack have put down a really good platform for. Although the tries have been scored by predominantly by the outside backs, it's the forwards that have put a really good solid platform down from. And even when they're scoring the tries on the outside, predominantly with the fact that they've gone through the middle and set them back, that gives them the space on the edge.
At the risk of repeating myself here, if you're wondering why on earth you're looking at shots of pictures doing warming up exercises at 6:25 in the evening here at the Doncaster Stadium, at Keepmoat Stadium, it's because we had a very long delay due to an incident down in the tunnel during the half-time break. The players had gone off at half-time, with the Featherstone Rovers in the lead by 32 points to 12. We've had a delay of, 40 minutes or something like that. But now eventually play is going to restart here, and we will have the second half of this Betfred Championship match.
You do realise that I've used up all my conversation I've got now for the next 3 weeks. My missus won't be able to get a word out of me now for 3 weeks.
I'll wind up the batteries. And Guznek had the ball in his hands, the fullback for Sheffield Eagles. We're back with the action. Welcome, everybody. 32-12, and it would be a major surprise if Featherstone did lose it from here. But as you said a minute ago, Paul, you never know. Things happen, don't they, in games, and that long delay might just suit Sheffield more than Featherstone. Who knows?
Well, it'll be quite an interesting one, because I would have thought that Mark will give them a bit of a serve when they've got in there, but when you give them a serve and then they've got 45 minutes to be able to sort of that serve doesn't really. It doesn't stick with them, you know what I mean? It's only sort of spurs them on for that short period, and I don't think he'll have had another go at them just before they come back out. So it'll be interesting to see now whether they do carry on and make a fist of it.
Yeah, it was enthralling action before. There seemed to be a try about every 5 minutes. I think I did use the phrase that every time a team attacked, they looked like scoring.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if the second half is the same. Sometimes matches are entirely opposite. One half is completely different to the other.
It can be exactly that. It's a game of 2 hours. That's what they always say, don't they?
Yeah, now that is a cliche, but you're excused, because you say we've talked that much this afternoon. We won't run out of words, don't worry. And
this has been a game of 3 hours. We've been talking for a full half in between.
Well, that might get Coleman balls, 3 halves. or there used to be a commentator who referred to stanzas in rugby league, which for me was always a musical expression, but he knew what he meant. We've got another stoppage, but this one's due to an injury. It's going to be a very late finish here in Doncaster, that's one thing for sure.
I don't think the referee will be too happy about adding time on the end, will he?
No, we continue with all sorts of stories because of all the different stoppages I played in a cricket game once where an umpire forgot to call over and the over just carried on and on and on. 13 balls, it made the national papers. We might if this one goes on much longer.
Did you manage to get a good score off that over?
I think we did about 12, yeah. 13 ball over. So the treatment being administered by the physics, all manner of people, of course, now water carriers as well. We've had, haven't we, let alone the physios, and of course, if it's a head injury, you have to be more careful than ever.
The doctors are more present on field now than they ever were. It's one of those. As soon as if it's anything to do with the, above the shoulder, it's they're out there and making sure that they're okay before they carry on.
Yeah, I think that's only right.
Which is a great thing for the modern game. It's a duty of care. They're making sure that the players are right. It's all good and well having a game that's entertaining and it's physical and it's aggressive, but it can't be at a risk, can it? It can't be at the cost. I mean, they take enough risk as it is to the players without, without even leaving them to get exposed.
It looks like it's a shoulder injury, doesn't it?
No, he looks like he's holding his nose.
Oh, right, nose. Sorry, nose. I was looking at just as walking. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
His nose.
Oh, you've had a bit of everything in this game today.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Featherstone Whitehaven game the other week, where the Walmsley, the fullback, Lachlan Walmsley, the Australian fullback of Whitehaven, had to have an assessment after a head injury. In fact, he had that 2 games running. So Sheffield will bring on Jordan Bull, the young man who scored a try on his debut against Batley recently. Here's the replacement.
There was certainly a little bit more spark in Sheffield in the first up contact just at the moment, but it was a bit like that in the start of the first half, where they seem to have all the aspiration in the first half in Sheffield, but then they fell away big time.
There was a confident take there by the young man Corian, making his debut. Will do his confidence no harm at all. First time we've mentioned him because he's not had the opportunity before. That bounced very handily into the hands. Guznek only too willing to continue the move forward. And it does set up a platform here for Sheffield Eagles. We'll try and get into the rhythm of the game. You lose the rhythm of the game as well with all the stoppages that we've had. But this looks far more rhythmical, to use that word, for Sheffield. Far more enterprising. The left winger, the young man, is keen for the ball. He was waving, hey, give me that ball again. He's fancying his chances now.
This is an interesting one, because you watch there and you see straight away young Bull's gone on there and he's starting to run things a bit more as a pivotal player, so that's interesting. I wonder if they put him out there to start sort of dictating a little bit. He's just been involved in organising 3 plays there in that set.
It was a huge kick from Farrell, but it is Featherstone who resume again here now, as you can see. I've noticed the wingers these days come in field a lot as well and play a much more decisive role than they used to do.
Yeah, there is on the kick returns, and I think it's the game changed, didn't it? The game changed a good number of years ago, where the kicking game and the winning the arm wrestle, as they call it, and the territorial advantage. That the kicking game became more. Here we go with the penalty there, but the kicking game became more of an issue, so they're bringing a good winger who could bring the ball back and get you back to your 30-metre line on play one was valuable, and really, really valuable.
It was
gone are the days when they just sit out there and wear gloves to keep their hands warm.
Oh, absolutely. It was Glover who conceded the penalty there, which is disappointing. He hasn't had a chance to feature much. He's been in really good form, Glover, so far this season.
Yeah.
But here are Featherstone Rovers encamped where they want to be, close to the try line. It's Brown, Brown. Score for Featherstone Rovers. And it's a try for Famanu Brown, the Samoan international, scampering through. And we've had the opportunity to chat about this player in his first season here in English Rugby League, and what an impact he is making.
Yeah, that was a great piece of play though. If you looked at them there where they shaped up, but they put what typically is the outside play, they reversed it and turned it back onto the inside, so they'd got a lead runner on the inside, and then they played out the back. There you go, and then they picked up on the link play. Catching defenders that had probably just thought that the ball were going to go on the outside, they'd clocked off a little bit.
Well, you do feel as though this game has got away from Sheffield Eagles now, and it might be a question of retaining a bit of dignity and not letting the score get out of hand.
Well, you think that Featherstone, I guess with the score as it were, coming back after that long break, it was their game to lose because they'd got themselves a strong enough lead. But they seem like that they've come out and they've put the same marker down as they left in the first half.
So Dane Chisholm tacks on another couple of points. He kicked 10 in the last match. He could end up kicking almost as many today, if not as many.
Well, it's early days in the second half yet, and it's not. It's a bit ominous, isn't it?
Tail, fellas.
It was Chisholm who set up the score as well.
Yeah.
So he got an assist and a conversion there. This is a lively player. I always think John Davies.
Yeah, he's one of those. He carries everything he does. You know, there's a real grit about him. If he carries the ball, you've got to really work hard to be able to control him.
Punches his weight, doesn't he?
Yeah,
not the biggest, but he's a very handy player to bring on.
I always used to find that you know those sorts of players are the ones that are the sort of the really strong, shorter players, and they've got a low centre of gravity, and they're really hard to sort of be able to get the better of.
So a good resumption from a Featherstone perspective, and they're really on the crest of having a couple of points added to their tally for the season here. They'll move on to 10 points. And the big thing is they're improving their points difference as well here now. With the 38 scored at the moment, they're on to 166 for the season. And they've only conceded 62.
See, that's a pretty good average. You like that, you know, not conceding. That's the one you need to be. And like I said earlier, you earn the right to play with the ball by how you defend, because it puts you in the right areas of the field. Stop the game. There's somebody down at the back.
Yeah, we have another stoppage here. There's a Featherstone player lying on his back at the moment, being treated to one of the physios already over there, and a second on the way, a third on the way. The game involves so many people nowadays. I bet when you first started, you had one physio, didn't you?
Yeah, one physio, a bucket and a sponge. No, but
reliable for everybody.
We thought we'd really sort of gone technical when they got one of them sprays, a tin of spray, ice spray. That would do the trick. Where does it hurt? And they just spray it.
Yeah, how things have changed. Let's have another look at this last score then. That was Chisholm. This was Brown. Only one place to go. He slithered through there, didn't he? Yeah. And he eluded the Guzdeck.
Should have been a better
effort.
You know, you want to be putting your body on. You've got to make shoulder contact. And if you look there, the first contact was with the hands, and that was always going to be a bit of a tough one for him.
Well, we've said it's such a physical contact game. We've just lost one Sheffield player. It looks like we're about to lose a Featherstone player as well here.
Yeah, that looks like a bit of an ankle or a knee to me, where he's sort of limping off tenderly.
Yeah, that's going to take a little while as well. That is an end of the afternoon job, I'm afraid. But there's always somebody to bring on, hopefully, and that Featherstone Rovers will do. There'll be a call for arms to Louis McConnell, a 21-year-old loose forward, who played one Super League game for Leeds against Catalans, Dragons. He's the one coming on.
and that's a you know, it's quite interesting. There's been over the last probably 2 or 3 years, there's been a close connection between Leeds and Featherstone. I know they had a few dual reg players, not last year, the year before, at Featherstone from Leeds, and now they can't have dual reg players now, but any of the sort of young fringe players that are not getting in, that are not required at Leeds, are getting opportunities in the Championship, which I think is brilliant, because they need to maintain them.
Yes, that's very much changed. Players now come on loans, don't they? Often just a 2-week loan. But that's going to be quite a loss, because the player who's gone off is Jack Bussey, and he'd been hugely influential.
He has. He's been busy and he's worked really hard, and just been a bit of a thorn.
Yeah, it's how you use the loan system, isn't it? So a lot of players have moved. Newcastle took a couple recently from Warrington.
I'm a lot more about. I'm more sort of comfortable with the loan scenario than I were about the dual reg scenario, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it can be 2 weeks, it can be a month, or it can be a season's loan.
And I think with the dual reg, I think it was, you know, the week on week, they could pull them back at any time, and it used to make it really difficult for Championship teams to create that togetherness in the team ethos, if you want to call it.
Fu Brown, I think he really has settled in very well here. Saying earlier when we were having our long chat that Brown, his doctors advised him to retire a couple of years ago, but he's fought on, and sometimes you want to defy the doctor because you love the sport so much.
That's right. And I guess it's once you come away from it, that's it. If you can sort of get through and see how it shapes up and make a call as you go, then you know, who knows.
Well, slithering down into his knees, Gustek still manages to make the essential catch there.
He was under some pretty heavy pressure there from Featherstone coming down on him, and I think he did a really good job to pretty much secure the ball.
There's the youngster Ryan Johnson, who's it's been his first season since leaving Hull here at Sheffield. Played every game as well, but yet to get a try. Warranty now. Appetite for action. Well, they're going to carry him another 5 yards. Thank you very much.
There we go.
I think it's too late to say Sheffield need the next score. But a 26-point difference right now. But there's a useful-looking kick. And a very useful take as well from Chisholm. Which way to go, though? Yep. Still managed to get that pass away. Some of the handling is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they've been right from the outset. I guess, you know, you'd say Featherstone, the way that they're moving the ball, and they're prepared to take those, what you call the educated risks. They're prepared to take the odds to it a little bit, but they're doing it really, really well, and it's coming off for them most of the time.
Well, 68 points against Oldham in midweek. You can tell that they're in the mood, aren't they? Parata's on, by the way, and he's slick as well, isn't he?
He is. He's looking pretty sharp there.
That's him, Parata there, number 21. Just come onto the field of play. 29 years of age, and another typical Featherstone move.
Jeez, that was a close call there. Tackled him before he got the ball over.
Well, Parata figured twice there. As I say, he's fresh legs, and Featherstone threatening, but losing the ball. Is it knocked out of hand legally or illegally?
Let's see what the referee sort of signal he's giving. There we go. I think it's come off it must be a Sheffield player that's knocked it on before it. So there's been 2 knock-ons, but the first one was Sheffield.
Yeah.
So they've got it back.
25 minutes to go. This is Day. It's also night nearly as well. I was meaning Brad Day. They've surely got to hold him up here. There are about 4 of them. And they do succeed. There's no score for Brown. There might be a score elsewhere, though. No, he's given it to the opposition. Thank you very much.
You know, Featherstone, they've been really successful this afternoon up to now with their ability to just to keep the ball alive and to keep offloading it. And the last couple of minutes, it looks like they're taking a little bit too much odds to it now, where they've turned the ball over twice now in the last 5 minutes.
Sometimes it's hard to retain concentration when you're so far ahead in a match, though.
Yeah, well, that's always a danger, that you start to overplay.
So Mark Ashton would be delighted if his side could at least register a few more points to make that scoreline look a little bit more respectable. They have got ball in hand at the moment.
For them, it's getting some respectability in it all now and being able to sort of build on something that they can take into next week.
Yeah, I think he'll be desperate to get Thackeray back. Thackeray was taken ill a day after the last game that we saw here against Batley. So you don't know if he was feeling the effects on that day itself, maybe.
Who knows? I mean, he showed up, he played pretty well, he showed up and he did his job, I guess, but you don't know, do you?
Well, I said in the first half that when Featherstone had ball in hand, they looked like they were going to score a try, and that's the case again. They're very quick from acting half-back.
They're getting out. There's an element of energy across the advantage line, if you want to call it that. They're just really quick out of the blocks, and every time they get a half niche with Sheffield, they're playing well off the back of that.
They're also getting the ball away in tackles quite frequently. Not this time.
The hardest thing as a scramble defender is that you keep scrambling and you keep scrambling and you keep shutting things down, but eventually
a gap appears and a little kick ahead as well. It was enterprising play, but well covered on this occasion.
Yeah, he got to it well, he covered it well, he just stuck at the back. But yeah, what I'm saying is that them energy banks start to get, so then you're not as physical in your defensive contact, and when you're not as physical in your defensive contact, the opportunity for them to offload, so it almost conspires against you. The fact that you're using all your energy up scramble defending in the first place.
Now Thomas Minns in the midst of all that, there on his 100th appearance. They'll come again now.
I want to say they've got a shot up here now, because up to now in this game, every time opposition's got into the other team's 30, they've been able to come up with something.
That's that man Davis that we were referring to a couple of minutes ago. Is there a gap to be found this time? No, there's a knock-on to be found instead.
The last 5 minutes, there's been a little window now of sloppiness starting to they're not quite executing the same Mark Featherstone. They've turned the ball over in the middle, they've turned the ball over at this end, and they've just turned the ball over there. So there's a bit of a momentum change if Sheffield can start to make something of it.
That's very true. It was Chisholm that spilled it. He might have cold fingers again, mind you.
Yeah,
I know we kept referring to the cold monotonously.
I don't think there'd be much chance of me catching it sat up here with these feet. My hands are freezing.
Sheffield Eagles 12, Featherstone Rovers 38, 15 minutes into the second half of this contest. But Featherstone's certainly going to enhance that position of second in the table. They'll still be behind Toulouse, who we know scored a massive victory yesterday against Swinton. But 100% record.
Yeah, well, that you can only, you keep picking up your wins and you take up the points, and at the end of the day, whether it's been an outstandingly, enormous win or it's just been a scrape through, you still get the same score on the league table.
Farrell's little chip forward there, inventive, but it didn't turn out too well for him. This is Brad Day again. Players coming and going off the pitch, hither and thither. And another switch here for Featherstone Rovers.
James Lockwood going back on, I think it is.
Yeah, James Lockwood back for another stint. Brown. Well, they know all about Brown now if they didn't before. Well, he kidded to go right, he went left, and it might just open things up again here with Rovers knocking on that Eagles door. Here's the high one from Brown. Taken by Warrency.
Yeah, taken nicely.
Yeah, he's done that a few times throughout his career.
You see the difference. I mean, he did catch that on the front foot, but the ball was in the air, the kick chase was there, and as soon as he catches the ball, the two defenders get on him and they gang him and they slow him right down. So now Sheffield are really struggling to get the set going forward. Whereas a couple of the kicks that Sheffield have put in, they've caught him on the front foot and they've made 20 metres before first contact.
And there is some other good news for Sheffield in that Connor Bauer is back in training. He's been out all season, but he's back training again.
Very good.
May return very shortly. Chisholm took the catch. The other news from Sheffield Eagles this week was that Andrea Dobson has been appointed the Rugby League Development Officer.
Yeah, that'll be a good appointment. I think it's great. That's one of the things that I think is a really undertapped part of the Sheffield sort of area. I think that there's loads of potential in there, and getting into the schools and being able to grow the game. I know when I was playing, it was that was a real big part of the game, was making sure that we worked hard in the schools to get the young.
Chisholm ducked underneath the tackle there. The line is begging to be. It was open, and it will be another Featherstone Rovers score, and it's Thomas Minns on his 100th appearance. Yeah. It was Chisholm who cleverly ducked out of one tackle, laid it all on, and I was just thinking that only one try in the 15 minutes of this second half for Featherstone Rovers, but they've got another one now. It's actually Lockwood, I think, who's finally got the touchdown.
A little bit down to the same again. If you watch it here, look at this, it goes over someone's shoulder, but there's actually another two people actually in the frame, so that's where they come up lucky. You know, if that ball would have gone to ground if they'd have not been showing the energy and the readiness to put themselves in the frame. I think the story of the day for Featherstone has been that they've had so many people working off the ball to help the person with the ball.
Yeah, well, you're rattling through the names here when they're going through the moves. The passing's been excellent close to the try line. So the scorer hasn't always had a lot to do, apart from block the ball down.
Well, yeah, that's the good bit, I suppose. You don't have to do all this. You don't have to get bashed up doing it. Then that's a smart way.
Another simple kick to come for Chisholm. Played for both Manly and but has 4 caps for France, although he was born in Manly. Over it goes, and they're getting closer and closer to a half century. 44-12 is the score. Let's have another look at this one here. There is Chisholm. Yeah. And it was Lockwood who took that final pass to register for the second time today.
He's come back on the field as well, only been back on a couple of minutes, hasn't he?
He has.
Okay. Move! Right. Go. Move! Go. Okay.
It's so pleasing if you do get a half century, isn't it? It's just one of those things. It just looks so good in print. 50 points.
Yeah, you get the feeling now that it's a bit, you know, Featherstone are going through the processes really efficiently. That's a great ball and a really nice line.
On the left tackle now, however. Another massive kick. That's a horrible one. That's swirling in the wind. Oh, very good catch, though.
Yeah.
Johnson, I think.
Yeah, it was. Can you see the difference there? You look at the Sheffield they're carrying in, the nearest person to him, the person that's carrying the ball is probably 15-20 metres away, which is not really giving him anything to sell it on. And it happens when you're in a bit of an hole like this, and everybody's pretty much, the fatigue's there and they're tired because they're scramble defending all the time. It's very difficult.
Oh, ball.
Yeah, tried to offload and got him in between them.
So the referee has to be quick as well, darting from one side of the pitch to the other to be in the right place. It's positional plays, everything, isn't it? Not just for the players, but for the referee as well. again, Featherstone just look so penetrative every time they move forward in number. With Brown at the heart of things, this is Davies again. Good impact player, Davies.
Yeah, as a forward pack, I think they've gone forward very, very well, and they've punched the line really well. When they're coming, they're coming through and they're coming out the other side. That's what's really helping them.
Well, this will be a last tackle opportunity for them, and Parata's the number 21 there who sets things in motion again. Davies is running to the right, on the right shoulder. Could be, should be another score maybe. Gets it back, and can he turn? Can he not? Can he drop it down?
Offload,
there you go. And the referee has a look, and Hall is the latest man to be over the try line, but it's not going to be a score.
No, he's not. I think he's.
No.
I thought he was going to. He went to the.
No,
he went to the back of the in goal. He went to the dead ball line as if he were going to indicate a try.
Yeah, work out why not. Was there a knock on there? Well, he's not grounded it properly.
No,
I don't think.
I'd say he were well placed again, like you've just been saying there. Positionally, he were in banging the right place to be able to get a good sighting on it.
Yeah, it staggers me. I mean, fullbacks have to be in the right place at the right time for all the kicks. But let's not forget the man in black either.
No.
44-12, that would almost certainly have led to a 50-point scoreline at the top of your caption.
There's a good bit of game time to go yet.
Well, that was knocked back, no question about that. Referee says play on, and oh, that's very, very scrappy. Ref again is in a good position. Again he said play on. Eventually he will stop the play, and there will be a penalty here for Sheffield Eagles, and boy do they need it.
I say after 6 knock-ons, he's going back to the first one. Everybody did. Sheffield knocked on, Featherstone knocked on. It was 3 knock-ons either way before he decided to call it.
Yeah, the old referee Billy Thompson used to make me laugh. He used to say, "Forward pass if it was a foot he wasn't bothered." 2 foot, you can't do that.
Let the game flow.
Yeah,
that was his motto, I think.
Let the game flow. Oh, quite right. There's Knowles. He got his first try of the season today.
Yeah.
Always good to do that. It's nice to get your name on the sheet. This is Farrell. And back again to Guzdek, who's only got the 1 score so far, and that was in that romp against Bradford. Prominent in this attack, as is Farrell again. Farrell with a little reverse ball. Surely something here for the Eagles. If the kick is fruitful, and it's not.
Drop out, I think. They give a drop out. Yeah. Do you know what? I think if he'd have gone himself there, he'd have nearly scored with Jimmy Davey. He'd look like they'd shown him some daylight, and then by that time he'd already decided to put his boot to it, I think.
Well, Sheffield had managed to stem the tide for a few minutes and had an attack of their own there, which looked as though it was going to bear fruits.
Nice to see a little bit of pressure at other end of field.
Well, the good thing is here you get the ball back as Glover does now. He's been prolific this season. Had some excellent matches, James Glover. Scored a couple of tries against Bradford, also against Newcastle and London. So opportunity knocking here with Farrell. Not quite. Almost, yeah. He was almost there, wasn't he, Davey?
Nearly, no.
Not quite. Start again.
Yeah, no,
the game's so quick now.
Yeah.
With the change of rules with 6 more. Davey, longer ball this time. Beginning to open up, and Guzdek's always willing to get involved as he was there. And you think one of these kicks would pay off eventually. It didn't do, and Brad Day is going to go a long way here. But how far can Brad Day go? Not far enough, because Warrington grabs him round the neck and legally grabbed him as well. But it does mean that Rovers are on the halfway line and moving forward in number. And there's always danger when the ball is reversed inside here. They're queuing up for the score. It is going to be another score, and this time Hall will be credited with a try. He's the last man to have his fingers on the ball. He's the man who goes over the try line, and it's going to be 50 points for Featherstone Rovers.
Yeah, which is a disappointment for Sheffield, I guess, when they were putting a little bit of pressure on down at the other end. But it's you got to credit Featherstone. There's some quality, little bits of link-up play. People staying alive when the ball's going away from them. There's nobody standing and ball watching. They're actually getting on the end of it on the off chance that it comes back to them, and it has done.
Yes, Hall was almost there, wasn't he, a couple of minutes earlier, but didn't ground the ball properly. But it was that break from Brad Day that created the moment for them. And as you say, Sheffield were knocking on the door 1 second, and the next they're standing behind the sticks.
Yeah. And you know what? I think sometimes as things start to go against you, like Sheffield, it's been going against them, and it's been just sort of. But so what you start doing is then you start chasing, and the more you chase, the more things that don't go for you, and you take risks that you probably wouldn't take when you're in full control. And it's amazing how two teams look so different when one's on the front foot and things are sticking and things are going for them. There's a confidence about them, and the other team, every time that they try to do anything, it seems to be unravelling for them, doesn't it?
That's the half century with the conversion from Chisholm. And I wonder if there's a little bit of an incentive in a way for Featherstone Rovers to go on and make a big score here, in the sense that Toulouse got 60-odd points again yesterday against Swinton, and they want to keep pace with them. Yeah. Anything you could do, we could do.
I'm not so sure that when they're in the midst of the game, I'm sure that they might get a message on that might say that keep playing, we don't want to shut down, but they'll be just looking after the processes, I guess.
Now, the point difference is being enhanced considerably here, though. Parata flings it out for Brown. And then Chisholm joining in from fullback. It's strange that Chisholm's not got his name on the try sheet. He's one of those that regularly does so. Good career record.
Yeah, there's been a lot of bits of creativity around him, though. You know, the fact that he might not, you know, you don't have to be the person that's actually putting the ball down under the sticks, but you can add as much value to it prior. So Sheffield have got the ball now, and it's a real opportunity for them now to hopefully to try and get some form of credibility out of how they finish the game. You know, there's still a good few minutes left yet.
Yeah. Just to say, Chisholm has tacked on 7 goals so far as well, so he's played his part. You're quite right. But this is chance time again for Farrell. Ooh, that was nearly an interception. Anyway, it's worked out okay, because it's ended up in the hands of the young wingman Corion, 20-year-old out of the Huddersfield Academy. Oof. Davey came out of that one okay. You can sometimes hear the collision, though, from up here in the gantry.
That's one of the things when we used to play down at Don Valley. I think that you used to lose that. Whenever you used to be at a ground that's got a running track around it, it never seemed to have that sort of that connection. You could never feel the energy of the game.
No, a big bowl, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. You know, one of the ones that's really striking is that when you, and it's a bit like that at Headingley as well. You've got at Bellevue, when it used to be at Wakefield, there's sand behind the wall, and the touchline is 3 foot away from where the fans are stood, and you can feel the intensity of the game, and I think that's what gets the hook into the fans when they start coming and watching it as kids.
Well, the fans have stayed with this one all the way. Oh, and he's done well, really, to get that pass away, but the referee has said no, it's gone forward. Jeez, they just tapped him by the ankle, didn't they?
That was a fortunate call there for Sheffield, because I don't know that was forward.
I don't think it
forward
was
to me, but anyway,
no,
that's
definitely didn't look
pretty
forward.
much in line with us, isn't it, down here? But I would never argue with a referee.
Oh, well, what do we know? Anyway, hand over. Does Featherstone make another interchange? You were telling me last time, though, you never want to come off.
No, you don't. Nobody wants to come off. I mean, unfortunately, it's part and parcel of today's game. But in my day, when I first started playing, if you got brought off, it was because you weren't doing a very good job.
Just under 10 minutes remaining, plus whatever time is tacked on. And there will be a bit, because we had a couple of stoppages in this half. It's been a day of stoppages.
Yeah.
The match did kick off at 4:30, by the way.
Stoppages at half time.
So I'm not quite sure. The timekeeper is going to be a very important man. He'll be a very popular man when he blows when we get the final hooter today. Try on the cards here for Sheffield Eagles, right beneath the crossbar. Don't think he's going to get the ball down again.
Held up over.
They're getting closer.
I reckon batteries might have run flat on his clock. His stopwatch, you reckon? Not that much time today. Yeah.
Farrell. Yes, he'll make it this time. Isaac Farrell dives in. It was a do-it-yourself try.
It was.
And he's a little Johnny on the spot at the moment. It's a third scorer of the season for Isaac Farrell, who probably kicked the goal as well. That was good. It was lively. It was enterprising.
There was a bit of individualism about it, but what he's doing is, and it's something that he's done quite a bit this year, is he's been prepared to take the line on, and I think he's always had enough in him as a player if he gets to the line and finds a defender that's overworked and got a little bit past him, which I think had happened there. When you watch the play back there, it just shows that that defender had just started to overread and slide off onto outside defenders.
Yeah, well done, Isaac Farrell.
Good play on his part, that he's got the vision to be able to recognise when they're starting to move away and they're giving him the space.
Yeah, he's got all his tries here. He scored one against Bradford Bulls. He scored one against London. And he's got one today. Ooh, I thought he was going to miss it just for a second there, but it swirled just inside. It didn't look promising when it set off.
Obviously, he's allowed for wind. something that we're sat here blowing in his face, freezing.
It's another high-scoring day, though, and Fadl has just made it even more prolific. See the way he ducked inside there.
Just slightly overread. Once you've gone past them, if you just get on the outside of an half-back and they've got good feet, they'll beat you every time.
Yes, he made it look simple in the end, didn't it? But I suppose when you're so far ahead as Featherstone are in this match, maybe a little bit of complacency can set in.
Yeah, there will be. Keeping yourself right up there and having the same intensity as you had when the scores were pretty much equal. Then it's never going to be like that, is it? If you're going to start and try things.
Coaches are never totally happy, though, you know, so they don't like conceding any points at all, do they?
I don't think anybody, you know, the way that you should be looking at it is it's not, you know, there's never a perfect game, so there's always stuff you can be better at, and the day that you start thinking that you've played the perfect game is the day that you put the cue on the rack and you're starting to fall in love with yourself a bit.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Here's the two-try Mangale. He's back on, he's had a little breather.
Wingers, they don't need breathers, don't
No,
wingers?
I was going to say it's unusual, actually, that, but I did see him just come off for a short while. 5 minutes to go. 68 points scored in the afternoon. Chisholm ducking and diving again.
I've got you've got to take your hat off to Featherstone. They've scored some really good tries, and there's none of the tries have been just pure one-out individualism. They've all had interlinking passes and changes of direction, and there's been a number of different skill qualities that's been in there.
Guzek's got to race back here because it'll be in goal, and they'll catch him and they'll run him out the back. Whoops, nearly into the stands. I think he took exception to that as well.
I don't think it was required, if I'm honest. A bit more than it needed, wasn't it? Because if he goes over the back of that stand there and there's concrete at the back of there, usually the officials are on him and he's doing stuff like that.
The drop out from beneath the posts. 4 minutes to go, he says, chattering and shivering. But it's a good kick as well. That is a good kick. That's over the halfway line, well over the halfway line. So that means there's work to be done.
It's coming back now.
You do feel there might be one more try left in Featherstone Rovers for the afternoon.
Well, they're at the right end of the field if they're going to get it, that is for sure.
Well, they had 30 points on the board by half-time, so the 2 points were in the bag. And they've scored their tries in clutches, haven't they? They've got to, not quite getting all the way through here. But they've had some very lively players from these play the balls, and here's another one with Parata there.
They're just out and they're asking questions all the time, and they're asking some questions because they've got plenty of people moving off the ball, and there's always a bit of deception going on. We've got another one here, I think. Ooh, that was well cleared. Just managed to clear it.
Yeah, Eagles are hanging on. 50's bad enough.
Yeah.
Don't anymore.
No, they need to try and see if they can weather it.
It's been a very strange day, hasn't it, Paul?
It has. It's been full of events, I guess.
But all you can do is take your hat off to the way Featherstone have approached this game. They've been on top basically throughout it. Even when Sheffield have scored, you've felt that... oh, interception. He's not going to get very far, though.
They were never going to skin him there, were they?
Oh, well, that sums it up, really, doesn't it?
That's just just sort of pretty much measures up the day, I would guess, you know.
Yeah, head down from Wealding. But, nobody does it deliberately. It's like a drop catch at cricket. Nobody ever drops it deliberately.
Nobody makes a mistake on purpose. No. Sometimes you, I don't know, you get those days, don't you, when things just, everything you touch seems to turn to gold and it all sticks, and then other days it doesn't. And I believe that it's your energy and your enthusiasm that makes those things turn to gold.
I'm sure that's right.
There's been, when you look at the way Featherstone they've just chased everything, they've hunted everything, they've supported everything, and because they've had so many people, even like a slightly off the mark pass bounces into someone else's hands.
No, it's been a very professional performance from James Webster's side. He's really stamped his authority on this team from Featherstone, from real rugby league territory, and they've got one more opportunity to register here on their visit to the Keep Moat Stadium, where they were beaten on their previous visit, but they're not going to get beaten today, that is for sure.
No.
And Sheffield have got the ball in hand as well, which helps. I thought young Ryan Johnson might have got his first try here today.
He's done all right there. He just,
yes, he has.
Come out, and here we go. Because they're trying now to play quick, they're actually playing quicker than the play the ball will let them. That's two errors in the last minute and a half. That's just just basic fundamental errors. They're not overplayed. It's just they're just trying to add. And I think that the fact is you've got to try something, haven't you?
As we move into added time in this game here.
There should be about 30 minutes left.
Could well be. Comfortable victory for Featherstone, who will retain their 100% start to the season. It really has been excellent. Holmes wondering what on earth to do here. Which way shall I go? I'll go that way. No, I won't. I'll go the other way. Yes, I will. No, I'll go forward.
Well, yeah, there's you can see that Sheffield are now they're hanging off a little bit. There's a bit of hesitancy about them, whether they're not wanting to sort of fly out and try to shut them down, and by doing that they're letting Featherstone have.
Yeah, I think the only question is, can they score another one? No, not with handling like that.
No.
I think a bit of complacency has set in now.
If Sheffield can sort of play this one out, I think that should hopefully put the bit of a nightmare to an end for them.
Yes, I think we've all sort of had our fill of the day's sport. Featherstone will go away very, very happy indeed from their visit here to the Sheffield Eagles.
I think I'll give my wife a ring and tell her to central heating up. I'm freezing. Take me 3 hours to get
Oh, no. Oh, goodness me. The line was absolutely begging there. And a little fumble means that we're going to get the hooter. We're going to get the end of the contest. An enjoyable match, a very strange afternoon, partly because of the delays, a late kick-off, and then a very long delay between the two halves due to an incident down in the tunnel. But the most important thing to say is that Featherstone Rovers have enhanced their prospects in the Betfred Championship with a convincing performance.
Yeah, I'd say, very convincing. The look to me, they've got the flair, they've got the speed, they've got the agility, they've got the skill set. They're doing a lot of high-core quality stuff. And Sheffield will be pretty disappointed with themselves because they need, all right, Featherstone might be a quality team, but they're only quality if you let them be quality. And I think Sheffield have given them too much leniency, and they've just given them too much.
Fu Brown enjoying that try, arms outstretched there. So that was the first one of this half. They always look capable of adding even more.
As you see there, it goes over someone's shoulder, that hits the floor if there isn't another two people supporting him behind him. You know, that's what the story of the day for me is, that Featherstone have been putting themselves around that much that they've earned the right to sort of get the little bits of luck go their way.
And it was James Lockwood, the captain, with his second of the day and second of the season. And he felt as though they might run in a massive score at this stage. As it happens, they did only get the one further one, which was from centre hall. And in fact, that was the last try for Featherstone Rovers, the last one of the day. Well, Isaac Farrell there, I called it a do-it-yourself score, and that's exactly what it was.
It was, yeah. A little bit of vision, a bit of opportunism.
Yeah, his third try of the season, but Sheffield Eagles overall, it's another disappointment for them. It's no wins in 4 now, after those 2 consecutive victories over Bradford Bulls and York City Knights.
Well,
but our final thoughts, Paul Broadbent, are that they were worthy with this.
Yeah, it was always looking pretty rosy, wasn't it, for the first couple of games for Sheffield, and then they've had a really wobbly time since then, and this performance today has been more, and that'll probably be the most disappointing performance they've had. But like you've said, I don't think it's got it wrong. I think that the best team on the day was Featherstone today, unfortunately.
And there is the confirmation of the scoreline at the bottom of your caption, 50 points to 18, so very, very comprehensive. So they stay in second place, narrow the gap between themselves and Toulouse Olympic, who were 66-18 winners against Swinton Lions yesterday. Convincing victory too for Bradford Bulls by 33-8 away to the full-time London Broncos. No points at all for Newcastle Thunder, who were scoreless in going down 32-0 to Halifax Panthers. Widnes back on the winning path, surprisingly down as low as 10th in the table there, but winning 44 points to 6 against Whitehaven. And finally, York City Knights coming off victors 34-6 against Oldham. So here at the Keepmoat Stadium, we can look at the matches to come again next week with the Toulouse playing Newcastle Thunder, and they'll certainly be favourites to win that one and get another 2 points on the board. Batley Bulldogs, who've started really well this season, at home to Swinton Lions. Bradford Bulls against York City Knights. We've already posted that one as one of the games of the day. Halifax, well, they will entertain this rampant Featherstone side, which is full of points at the moment, over a century in the space of a week. It's London against Dewsbury down in Ealing. Oldham against Widnes, who were victorious today. And Sheffield here, well, they'll try and get this poor run out of their systems, and they have every chance of doing so against Whitehaven.
Yeah, well, that's what they've got to do. They've got to get themselves back on the horse, dust themselves off, because it's, you know, one game doesn't make a season, but they're now starting to fall into a bit of a hole, and they need to turn it around.
Paul, thank you so much for your company. I hope everybody has enjoyed our coverage here from the Keepmoat Stadium. We will leave you for the final time with that scoreline, which was Sheffield Eagles 18, Featherstone Rovers 50.